Hi, welcome to the More Gems Show. I'm Steve Moriarty, your host, and with me tonight is Michael, my son.
How's it going, everybody? So we changed it up a little bit this time, and I'm going to join Steve for the show.
He thinks I need help.
You don't need help. No.
I do.
I just wanted to help.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, and you deserve to be. You know, you're half of this business or a big part of it. Yeah, glad to have you, and it'll make my life a little easier.
Yes, and we've also got Jeffrey here, who is not only taking care of the chat moderating, but he is doing my part that I usually do as well, which is running the show.
So good luck to all of you that this show goes correctly. We'll hope for the best, Jeff.
There's a lot.
So far, so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons over here. So I'm going to be trying my best, but there's like great. 50 buttons I got to pick from. So.
And handle the chat.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes.
Yes. So be patient with the chat when I'm trying to get to your questions as well. So, but good evening, everybody.
You want to start off with some explanation of...
Okay. Of the show itself?
Yes.
So for all the newcomers, I'll probably say this throughout the show a few times. So before we get into this, Steve and Michael are going to be showing you some of the amazing gemstones that they brought back from the Tucson Gemshow, which we'll talk about here shortly. He's got them right there. Oh, Michael. So that was... So we're going to be displaying all the gemstone, not all of them, but many gemstones, I think 50.
Yeah,
Michael,
we got
correct.
50. Yeah, we got over 50.
Yeah, so
over 50
we're going to try to speed through this tonight. But throughout the show, if you see right here, you can purchase any of these gemstones if you like it. You just got to click on or go to MoreGems.com. The URL is sitting right there in that green banner. And at the top of the website, you can't miss it. There's another green banner. Just click it, and that's going to take you to the gemstones of the show tonight. Yep, Mike's pointing right to it. So you click through there, you find the one that you like, and you can purchase it. Now, when you go through checkout, all you got to do is put in the coupon code LOVE, and you're going to get an additional 15% off that price.
You're so helpful.
There we go. See, that's what Michael's here for. Thanks, Vanna. All right. So you can use coupon code LOVE for any of the gemstones tonight. We also have 4 hidden gems. Those are going to be, we're going to be taking 25% off those. You won't see those until we release them, because we know a lot of you out there like to, buy those gems before we even show them. So those are hidden. But we'll explain it when those come up. So in checkout, you can pay with your credit card. You can pay through PayPal. We also have financing through, I believe, Klarna and Bread and Affirm. So you can also do financing. We do not hold stones, but if there's something you like and you want to put it on layaway, if it's still here tomorrow, you can give us a call and we can put it on layaway for you, but we can't hold anything tonight. Outside of that, if it's your first time or you've watched us many times, click that little thumbs up down there. That always helps us out. We'd love to get at least 100 every night.
I don't know where that's at over
here. It's down there somewhere.
Maybe.
Yes. And if you want more notifications about some of our awesome videos, just hit that little bell below to subscribe. So hopefully that wasn't too much, but
that's good.
You guys want to talk about the show or about the Tucson show?
Just one other thing I talk about, and that's the gem guide. This is a market-driven independent pricing guide, and we use this to produce the appraised price, which on the site or on here, it's on there as the regular price.
Yeah, it's a normal price. I think we have it as.
So we use the gem guide. Gem guide goes through many, many stones. It's remarkable how many different stones they cover. And they go to shows like the show we were just at, Tucson Gem Mineral Show. They go to a variety of shows and go around and price gems from the dealers. And that's how they produce this guide. It gives a wholesale price that many people use for appraisals, and people use it to buy and just to get an idea of where the price of stones should be, because many stones are even me, I run into stones that, what is the price of this? The guide's helpful, but they don't cover everything. And that includes a lot of the stones that are on tonight, because these are stones that we've never seen, just brand new to us. So, we've got a pretty good idea where prices should be on different materials, but it's always a little up in the air. What is a gem worth? What is one that is a one of a kind in the world worth? You deal with it the best you can. You negotiate the best price you can. And if it's that rare, there is no real price for it. And, so you either buy it or you skip it, but we bought a lot of crazy stones.
Yeah. No, they're all great. And I think all of them were worth it for, like you said, you don't ever see it.
Yeah.
So
we got a lot of them tonight, and we've got many, many other stones that we bought this show. We really had a successful show. We worked hard to set up with our dealers beforehand, because our goal is to always see them first. Many of the dealers we deal with come from overseas, and they go around and they sell to a lot of the dealers that are at the shows. Many of them don't even set up at the shows, and just are out to sell to the other dealers. So our goal is to get to them first, and I think we did a pretty good job at it this time.
Yeah. Our schedule is packed for when we go out there. We were out there this time for 12 days, and every day I had a whole schedule of who we were going to meet with, what time, which shows we were trying to get to, and not take too much time. But usually when we find something out there, it's at least an hour that we're looking through something, and a lot of times longer. So it's
3-4 hours.
I want to cut in here because I was only out there for like 2.5 days, but it was like 6 o'clock one night, and I think Michael found a booth, and he was in there for like 3 hours. But yes, it's exhausting watching you two.
We had reservations. I told you, well, either we got to push these reservations back, or I got to skip it. And I said, you know what, let's just do it. And we went through every single thing, looking for whatever they had, because if I would have waited, the next day, somebody would have gotten there before me, and you lose out on what you like. So.
Well, we have to thank the patience of Jeff, because, he's not quite into it as much as me and Michael are, but he loves to come to the shows and travel with us, and he has remarkable patience, I have to say.
And my fiance, Carrie, came with us this time. She's probably watching. So hi, Carrie. I see a lot of other people are watching too on here, but she was with us, and her and Jeff kind of went out a couple times. They found some neat little knickknacks too that they brought back, which were pretty cool. I forget what were those, the Russian little
Russian dolls? Oh yeah,
I
remember there's a name.
It was like 16 inside of.
Yeah,
it's amazing how many.
There are those little things that you crack it in half, then there's another one and another one and another one. Carrie opened them up one night, and she found she thought it was done, and then at 3 more, and there's this little itty bitty one at the end. It was so funny. But
so there's a little bit of everything in Tucson for sure. Yeah. But what we got was great, and we're thrilled. And we got some rough few things that you'll see in the future. This little baby is actually a morganite.
Yeah, that little tiny stone.
It's been worked on already. They cleaned it from a large crystal and left this 700 carat clean piece behind. And I expect 300 plus carats out of it. So we'll be working on that maybe next week. We'll see when we get to it. But hopefully it'll be ready for the next show, But this, by far the largest I've ever seen. I've never seen a 300 carat cut morganite. I'm sure there must be one out there somewhere, but I've never seen it. So that's something a little bit unusual that we bought, and I really was a little nervous about buying that and talked to my wife about it. She was a little negative on it, which understandable. I mean, can I sell a 300 carat morganite? Sure I can.
And I said, just do it, Stephen.
Michael is the one that finally made me do it. He said he'll make a great video if nothing else.
So it'll be
it's an
it'll
expensive video, but Hopefully
Well,
it's also a saleable piece.
We'll try and make it entertaining for those of you who do like to watch his cutting videos, and I'll see what I can do. And maybe, I'll have to, maybe we'll do a live stream and see what people are actually looking for in a video and get some opinions of the viewers, and that might help out a little bit. And speaking of the viewers, thank you everybody for coming. It looks like we've got Colleen is in here, Eileen, Scott Vanderwolf, Lisa Anderson, Dana's in
Moriarty.
here. I think I saw Ann in here. So hello everybody and welcome. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always entertaining to see where you know in the world people are joining in from.
Yeah, we appreciate you people coming back week after week, and I don't know, this is our 45th? 47th show.
Yeah.
Which amazes me that we've gone that far. But thanks, everybody, for coming. Thanks, you newcomers, for being here, and hopefully you'll stick with us and come back.
Yep.
And one thing I wanted to cut in here, again, for everybody that's just joining us, we'll explain throughout the show, but if you want to chat or if you want to ask questions, I believe you have to be logged into YouTube or your Google account, and you'll see this lively chat session going on right now. That's where you can post questions for Steve or Michael or myself, and I'll get to them as soon as I can, and we will answer them on air for you. So as questions come in, I'm jotting them down and we'll get them answered. If you want to see a stone closer up, if you want to see it on a hand, see it on a neck.
Oh, we forgot.
If you missed a stone, you want to see it again, just let us know through the live chats and we'll be able to help you out.
Yep, and if anybody out there is looking for a Valentine's Day gift, maybe they want to share this stream with their loved ones, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, how quickly can we ship out? Pretty quick, can't we?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be
because a lot of people are celebrating it Saturday, right?
Probably, the weekend.
Yeah. That's when we're
quickest would be tomorrow for next day.
Right.
Yeah. So it's possible to get some stuff by. Yeah, and if you do like any of the stones on the show, we can custom design something for you. So we can either ship it to you or we can hold it, and our designer will work with you to custom create a piece.
Good point.
All right. First stone?
Yeah, let's do the first stone.
Yeah. So I think, Jeffrey, did you get everything uploaded or still working on it?
I'm working on it now. First stone is uploaded, but that page, if you go to MoreGems.com and click on that green banner, slowly that page will load with all the stones tonight. Just takes a little bit of time, but doing it now.
Yep. So Jeffrey's adding each stone. He's got to make them active one by one. So I'd say you could probably hammer that out in the next, 5 to 7 minutes, and then everything should be on there. So there should be over 50 stones, minus the 4 that are hidden. So yeah, let's go ahead and start it up. Jeffrey, if you could give us the first stone.
All right, first stone is a 5.80 carat, appropriately a heart shape. This stone is just beautifully cut. It grades a cut grade of excellent, which means that the polish is great. As you can see, the facet meets are great. Everything about this stone is just a beautiful, beautiful gem. It's kind of an even mix of the two colors. I think this one is probably more violet.
It is 45% blue and 55% violet.
Okay. Where did the blue and the violet go?
So I've got those listed right there for you.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So 45% blue, 55% violet.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So pretty much an even color distribution. So as you go to different lights, when you go to daylight, it's going to be more blue, and in incandescent light, it's going to be more violet. But it will maintain a little bit of each of those colors in any light you go to. So this has a rating of 986 out of 1,000, which is a very high rating for my system, which the system takes in the color of the gem, the clarity, and the cutting. When I grade cutting, there's about 4 different factors I use, and each one of those factors gets a rating of 0 to 1,000. So I add up to 3 factors and divide by 3, and that gives me that 986 number, which means it was perfectly clean, really well cut, and just top color. The appraised price on this stone is $6,960.
Sorry about this. The camera went out already. So let me see if I'm trying to fix it here. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, Jeff, if you want to give us a different view.
but it
You gotta
really
turn
just a beautiful gem.
Push the camera button. There we go. All right. So I'm trying to fix this here.
Are we still visible on the?
They can see us, yes.
Okay.
So I'm doing some stuff in the background here. See if I can fix this. That doesn't seem like it's wanting to work. All right. Always something. But yeah, go ahead and continue.
This is on the camera issue.
Yeah.
All right. So I've been getting more heart shapes lately. I think that somebody overseas has decided that hearts was a popular cut. It must be selling, because I've seen more hearts in tanzanite, whereas in previous years there has been very, very little bit in heart shapes. Everything was just ovals and rounds and occasionally pear shapes, and now we're seeing more fancy shapes, which kind of goes along with the whole business as far as fancy shapes have become much, much more important, not only in diamonds, but also in colored stones. Well, always issues. So while we're having an issue, I'll show you these. I found these in Tucson. I thought they were cool. This is a freshwater pearl mollusk, and it actually has the pearls on the shell. At first I thought maybe they were mabes, which is just a blister pearl, but these are actual pearls that when they nucleate the body of this mollusk, some of them get attached to the shell, and they just continue to grow between the shell and the mollusk, and eventually get attached to the shell. So I just thought they were cool.
Well.
Yeah.
What
What is the issue?
I don't know. It's not.
Oh, that the camera's not on?
Yes.
It's not the battery or anything.
No, the camera's on. Yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and go to the next stone?
So Steve, with that shell, what do Mima wanted to know? Is it more like decorative and like showcasing what it looks like, or what would you do with it?
What would you do with it?
Yeah.
Well, we're actually, Alice had a good idea. We're going to try and make them into little trays that you can put your jewelry in and stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're going to make a little stand for them, and, because the nice thing about them, pearls are pretty soft, so it's not going to damage any jewelry you put in there. There's not much in jewelry that would be softer than what this shell and the pearls are. So it's a safe thing to put your jewelry in, and it's appropriate. It is just something that's part of the jewelry trade, and I thought they were interesting, and hopefully someone else will. I think we bought about 12 of them, and we'll give it a shot this week and see what happens.
Okay. I can see that.
It's a little difficult for me to deal here because I can't see the screen.
Yeah.
See what I'm doing.
You look good, Steve.
Thanks.
Question, I guess, no, I'll go through some of these questions while Mike's fixing this. Delilah wants to know, being an avid gem cutter like yourself, when cutting, do you use distilled water or does it not matter?
I use mostly sink water. I was using distilled, and I don't see the reason to. I haven't found that it's a necessity. So I'm pretty much using what comes from the tap, Lake Michigan water, which is relatively clean.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. Because they don't recommend that you eat the fish from the lake more than once a week, but so how clean it is debatable. Yeah. And they recently allowed BP to put 10% more pollutants into the lake. So,
Okay. One other question. We'll do some questions while Mike's fixing.
Yeah, I'm. At
you turned it off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So one gentleman said, okay. Have you ever heard of Hackmanite? I saw that for the first time in Seattle at a gem show.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard of it. I've seen it online, and but I know nothing about it. Don't know its durability, its hardness. I really don't have any knowledge of Hackmanite.
Okay. All right.
Sounds like something I may not want to cut. I got to be a hacker to. I don't. So anyway, moving on. Hopefully you can see this, but this is another piece of rough I bought, which is a nice big piece, and this is a sunstone from Oregon. And the big thing that made me buy this piece is because there's very little clear that is around the outside. Typically, the color is about 20-30% of the entire piece, whereas this is about 80% color in this piece. Yeah. You can see it's would be considered a red. Let's see if we can get. They cut kind of orangey red. Okay.
Let me try
So,
one more thing.
You want to go on to the next stone there, Jeff? We just won't have
No camera.
a camera
Okay.
of it. You'll just
So
have
we'll
to
go
deal
on.
with
We'll
the
move on to the
video
next
of the
stone
stone.
here.
So another appropriate stone. This is another heart shape. Kind of unusual to find Amalite in a heart shape. But this is really an attractive stone. You know, we saw the people that we met. Actually went mining up in Alberta, Canada, and we met the people in Tucson that we dealt with in Canada. And as I told them, you know, I've got enough Amalite, not really looking for any. And then she pulled out a tray of the best material they had, and I go, oh, shit. Whoops. And I didn't buy many, but, you know, I think I bought 4 pieces. This was one of them.
Yeah.
And they're just, the color is so even on them and so few cracks in it. You know, this material, the shells were compressed and they typically crack up and flatten out. And you'll generally see cracks across them. But this was just some really clean material. You know, it's the most expensive material that they provide, but the 4 pieces I bought, now 3 pieces.
Yes, yeah. He was showing me what he got because I was looking at some of the palm-sized specimens, and then he showed me, you know, he said, oh, check these out. And I've been looking for one for myself, and there was a perfect one. I just loved it right away. I was like, oh, man, I got to have that one. So I pulled that one out aside for myself, and I'm going to make a necklace pendant out of it. So
Yeah,
hopefully it should be pretty cool.
Which I never really thought of it as pendants for men.
Yeah, but I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like wearing an opal. You know, it's just a beautiful gem, and it's the only gem that is really brighter colors than what you see in an opal. You know, the iridescent colors in this material are second to none. I don't know any other material that has such brilliant colors and such a wide range of colors. Yeah. And it's kind of a cool piece, heart shape, and look at all the different colors. It's almost every color that exists in it. I think there's even some purple in it, you know, which you don't often see. I don't know if you see any purple in there.
Maybe, yeah, if you turn it the right way, you can get a little bit of purple.
So you get blue, indigo, and violet. You know, indigo is part of the spectrum that we have a hard time knowing what it is. Most people, you tell them what indigo, and they don't know what it is. But if you look in here, you know, indigo is the color somewhere between blue and violet, and you can kind of get a feeling for what indigo is when you look at this material.
And Jeffrey, can you give us the other screen so I could see if what I did worked? Does not look like it did yet.
So this piece is $540, and with the coupon code LOVE, it ends up $459. You know, we have lots of Amalites. This will be the most expensive per carat, but for good reason. You know, just the quality of it. And if you look at what's online, you can actually see the difference in the materials. No luck there, Mike.
No luck. Well, I can't do anything until Jeffrey changes he's got to. Well, I just need you to go back to the full screen of both of us in there. So turn that off, and there you go.
So here's another piece of rough. This light's not the best light to show it. You got that. So this is a piece of Amitrine. Yep, here's the focal range. And this is, you know, one that I will try and get these colors to separate. You know, sometime if you don't buy the right piece of rough and you try and show the different colors that in it, they often blend, and you just kind of get a mix of blue and purple, which is more brown, and you don't get that separation. But I've cut these where you can get the separation of the colors, and it just looks like a multicolored blue or yellow and purple, which can be
like a
really interesting piece. So, and I think this is the perfect one to work this kind of cut. So we'll see in the near future.
Yeah, cool piece. There's a question. I believe it's the resin, but somebody asked about what's that little heart Amalite sitting on.
A piece of dental wax or something similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I think it was mineral putty.
Okay. Yeah.
Mineral putty.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. This is. Let's see. Can I change it to something?
Okay. You want to take a look at the next one, or what do we want to do?
Yeah.
we can
Let's
go to the
move
next
on to
one.
the next
We'll just
one.
continue.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that I don't know why.
All right. Let's go to the next guy here.
Unfortunately, I can't see the screen, but I guess I can find out what the next stone is.
Yes.
So the next stone is
Fancy
a
pink.
pink tanzanite. Now this, when it comes to fancy colors, this is the rarest color of tanzanites. I mean, seeing this color, have we owned one this color?
Fancy that pink.
Not that pink.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah. So this, in the world of zoysites, this will be the rarest of them all. You know, and as you can see, the price is like the rarest of them all, you know, and this is a fairly large stone. It's the largest and finest I've ever owned. It weighs a carat 93, very high clarity. You know, these are stones, because of their rarity, that if there's anything in, people leave it in. You know, you just cut for size and, you know, don't worry about whether there's inclusions in it. But this one's a really clean stone, just well cut. Not a perfect cut, but it's well cut, particularly considering its rarity. And, you know, just the color's just amazing on it. You know, again, the rarest of the tanzanites. There's no appraised price on this because there's not enough material to ever establish a real price on this material. You'll see if you look for pink tanzanite, if you find any, the price will be very, very high. They're typically 3, 4, 5 times what normal tanzanite is. And the rarity is thousands of times rarer than what the typical tanzanite is. I don't even know thousands of times is a factor high enough, you know. 10,000 times, who knows? But,
looks like we have a sale.
Yes. So we want to thank Shelly. She purchased the heart-shaped Amalite. That's
Oh,
cool.
very cool. Nice. Yeah,
That's fun.
That's a sweet stone. Thank you, Shelly.
Thanks, Shelley.
And that was this one here. You can kind of see the color here.
You know, and this one too gets through the factor of when I pick these stones, I only pick stones that have a good rotational value, meaning that you can look from different angles and still see the color. You know, that's my first criteria in buying these stones. They all are limited, you know, but mainly I'm concerned with face on and looking a little bit down on it as if you're wearing a pendant. You know, those are critical angles I find when I'm looking at this material.
Very
Make
cool.
a great piece.
Yeah,
you know, if we can help you put together a piece, we'd be glad to do that too. So back to this tanzanite.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? With the tanzanite, so is this something that can be worn, you know, ring, pendant, any problems?
Just like any other tanzanite. I mean,
Okay.
it's the same hardness, and we make tanzanite rings and pendants, and you know, it's something that in a ring, if you try and wear it every day, you are eventually going to scratch the surface. And over years of wearing, if you're not too tough on it, you'll get years out of it before it needs to be repolished. And repolishing a stone like this, if I had to repolish the whole crown, we'd probably end up a carat 80, you know, or more. You know, sometimes you lose 4 or 5 points when you're repolishing a crown. So, yeah. But tanzanite's not the hardest stone on the planet, so it is subject to some scratching, but that's typically the worst that's going to happen to it. It's not that you typically would break them or take big chips out of them. That just rarely happens, but scratching is not unusual. So safest, something this rare probably should go in a pendant or something you're just not going to wear every day, because I mean this is so exceedingly rare that you do want to take care of it. Yeah. And this stone, I guess I can give you a price on it. $46.30 or $46.30.85. I'm so glad you're here to help me, Mike.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get our camera up and rolling, but yeah, it's not wanting to work with me.
So with the 15% off, it's $39.35. I don't know what would.
I'm not too sure. Yeah, we might just have to
The
work
plugs
without it.
are okay. You've checked the plugs.
Yeah, it's
Okay. Well, we'll just have to live without it. You know, the videos that are online are always the most accurate anyway. You know, we did have the camera set up really nice that it was going to show the stones well, because we've had mixed feelings about how accurate the camera was. But what you see online, we make every attempt to make the videos as accurate as possible. So you want to move on to the next one there, Jeff?
so. Yeah, it's just looks like we got the first hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
All
So
right.
how this works, everybody, especially if you're new here. This is a hidden gem. If you are on that page on MoreGems.com and you refresh the page, this stone will now show.
on hand.
We
Why
keep
don't
it there
you do
because
that?
we don't want anybody going ahead of time and buying before everybody else. But this gem is going to be 25% off. So if you like it, you can purchase it. And that checkout, just use coupon code RARE25. It'll take an additional 25% off the price. You can pay credit card, PayPal, financing through a firm or bread. It's there for you. So
Yeah, not quite like the camera.
Yeah, it doesn't quite show like the
Yeah.
camera. I don't know. It's lagging out, and I'm not sure if it's just the computer isn't wanting to run it. But
So what's special about this stone is just the intensity of the color. Just really well cut, as you can see. Very clean stone, a VS1 clarity, so almost nothing in it, which is unusual for sapphires. And have you seen a pink this intense? I can't remember one. You know, we have a kind of a violet pink that's intense, that big round.
right.
But
Hey, this
it's not
was
like
just-
this. This is just really a special color.
and it stands
for
out for the
pink.
size too.
Yeah.
It's just pops.
Yeah, really well cut, as you can see. There's no dead spots in the stone, and just 100% brilliant right there. So this, we believe, is from Sri Lanka, but Madagascar is a possibility. This supplier deals a lot in Madagascar gems, but they didn't have a sure source on it either.
So with the 25% off of this stone, you're looking at $2,160. So that is with the coupon code RARE25. And if you, like Jeffrey said, if you go to the website, you refresh the page, and that stone should show up.
So it figures a little over $1,400 a carat. If you look at the appraised price, pink sapphires, for some reason, appraised very, very high in the guide. This is a stone that is heated. If this stone weren't heated, pink sapphires, it kind of doubles the price of pink sapphires. I don't know that's exactly, but definitely a big difference. But, this is heated, but the color is just amazing. And look at the cut. I mean, just extremely well cut. If you look at a lot of sapphires, you'll see that the culet is quite off-center often. Just because of the rarity of the material, they try and maintain as much weight as possible. But the faceting on this is right. I mean, look at the facet meets and the brilliance. Everything about it is really a great pink sapphire.
And Steve, at the show, of course, this is an amazing stone. Sean wanted to know, was there any other stones that you may have saw there that you've never seen before, maybe didn't purchase, or some things you thought you would see more of that you didn't?
Well, we've saw there's a couple of stones that were from a source that we don't generally buy. Zimbabwe, the aquamarine. We've got a lot of aquas that I don't think they're on the show tonight.
They need recutting.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of those really nice colors, deep colors.
Great colors, just mediocre cuts.
Yeah.
So we'll see, hopefully in the next show, we'll see at least one of those I'll get to. And some sphenes also. Again, the cutting just really poor. They were cut either in Zimbabwe or Zambia, and the quality of the cutting just isn't there. And there are two stones that the cut really makes the gem, especially the sphenes. You cut those right, they're just remarkable gems. So hopefully we'll see at least one of those in the next show.
Trying to think if we saw anything else that was kind of out of the norm. Oh, well, the Peridot. The Togo Peridot.
Well, we bought them though.
Yeah.
They're saying things we didn't buy. There wasn't
buy.
much we passed up on.
No, yeah.
We passed up on a lot of stuff because the prices were just crazy. I mean, that's one thing that has happened in this business. A lot of gems have gone up significantly in price. Yeah.
You talked about the
ones I gave my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was like,
I might have thought twice if I'd known they were going for so much money these days. I hadn't bought it in a long time, and I bought these back from a customer that passed away, and so I bought them right. And Michael, I think we went through this story, didn't we?
What's that?
About you liking the piece we sent out, and I had two more and made Michael one, and of course I had to make Jeff one too.
Yeah, I'm not a jewelry guy. I talked about this the last show. I'm not a jewelry guy, but this is something I wear all the time. It's just the design is great and the stone's beautiful.
And I wore a big tanzanite out in Tucson. They wore their spessartites, and nobody looked at my tanzanite, but the spessartites they were constantly talking about. Spessartite's a great stone just because high refractive index and good brilliance, and it's a kind of a popular color these days.
Rust.
Rust. All right. Ready?
Question.
Okay.
Mr. Higgs wanted to know if this was a standard cut. He says it looks like it has more facets than
It is. I mean, in the trade, it's a standard cut. It does have an extra row of facets in the crown. You know, I just looked at browns like this and was debating whether to do it on a stone I just cut, and I ended up not doing it. And the stone's in the show later. It's a molly garnet. But it is an effective way to get brilliance, as you can see in this stone. You know, it worked really well for this stone. So smaller table, which many cutters have gone to smaller tables. I'm generally trying to keep them down to 50%, somewhere in that range. And many tables cutters are using are more in the 40%. And when I'm talking percent, it's the percentage of the width of the stone. So if the stone's 10 millimeters wide, a 40% table would be 4 millimeters wide. You know, 50% table would be 5 millimeters wide, so half of the width. So, but smaller tables seem to be working well. You know, in a diamond, typically small tables are about 57%. I don't know what it would do in a diamond, even smaller. Not sure. I've seen smaller, but, you know, in a diamond, it tends to make the stone look smaller. You know, a smaller table, even though the diameter is the same, tends to make it look a little smaller. Okay, next stone. I think we did that one. This is a really a unique tanzanite. It would categorize as a fancy because this color, and it stays this color in whatever light you go to. There'll be a slight change, but pretty much stays this lavender color. It's another one that I don't think I've ever had one that looked quite like this.
No, yeah. When I first saw this stone, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Like it's really bright, and the color is, yeah. It's like Steve said, it's lavender. It's not quite like what you'd think of when you see tanzanite, and it's got a lot of brilliance to it. Different colors. The dispersion is nice, and it's got a good size to it. But you can see even in this camera, you know, you can see the life to it.
Yeah, it's really well cut. Excellent cut grade. Again, facet meets are right, polish is right, and the brilliance is second to none. You know, it looks like it could have been the cutter of that last stone. It wasn't, but
Yeah, really nice.
yeah,
cut.
just really, really well done. So this piece appraised $7,400. $49.90 is the sale price on it. And what's that figure to, Michael?
Let's see. So we got
$49.90.
$49.90 and 15 off of that. $4,241.50.
Completely clean stone, graded as a VS1.
But it really is a beauty. It's yeah, every bit as beautiful as that video shows.
Yeah. Really unique.
Do you want me to try and I have another camera. I can see if I can manage it. It won't be like this, but it'll be a different angle.
You think it's the camera?
Something's going on. There's no connection point. I'm not too sure what it is, whether it's the program. And again, I apologize, guys, but sometimes this stuff comes up, and unfortunately, I'm right in the front now.
You want to try the other camera, the one in there, or what?
No, there's just this webcam.
Oh,
So whether the color would be right, yeah, is the difficult part.
yeah. Whatever you want to do.
Well, let's just continue with the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, we'll have to do without it, but if anybody else wants to see it
Yeah, it's
differently.
weird. It worked.
Yeah.
Is Jeffrey pushing the wrong button or
I
something?
don't know.
Let's
Could,
blame
it could
Jeffrey.
be. I don't know. But the good thing is, you know, if you know, we do have a 30-day return policy and
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
And no matter what that camera shows,
Yeah.
the videos that are on the website are more accurate than anything, although it's the same camera. But, you know, the lighting and being able to change the settings on it to get the color right is what makes that camera produce such good videos, and you pretty much see the same thing if we're lucky
Right.
with this camera setup. So we had another sale,
Yeah, we do.
and what would that be there?
Martha loved that lavender tanzanite.
Oh, it was a good one. Yeah.
It's special
It
for
is,
sure.
yeah. Cool. Thank
Yeah,
you, Mark.
thank you.
Yeah, that's a
Martha.
cool color.
Yeah,
That's really, really cool.
Great size too. You can do pendant or a ring with that.
Yeah. We didn't show a size.
I
It's not
I
easy,
showed it
yeah.
on my hand.
Oh, okay.
So.
Thanks. No, it's not important anymore. Martha
Yeah.
can look at it on her hand.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, Michael really loved that stone as soon as he
Oh
saw
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Right when I saw it, I was like, oh, we got to get this one. And checked it over.
Yep.
'Cause a lot of times we do see some things that are just, we love it, but we under closer magnification, we see either it's got issues or it's cut poorly or there's like a hidden inclusion in there that we don't like. But luckily this one checked all the boxes and we were able to take it home with us. So
Yeah.
now it's going to you, Mark.
Yeah, and we met with this person at their house.
Yes.
At the house they were staying in, and we were the first appointment, or we wouldn't have got that stone, I'm sure.
Right.
It would have had a short life, and
Yeah.
we made sure of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you guys think, because you guys do go early, that
Oh yeah,
you guys get all the best stuff?
we're 8 days before the big shows start.
Right.
So as people come in, our Opal supplier, as soon as he's there, we're at his hotel room and we deal with him there. So before anybody else sees it, and that's been my policy, and over the years, the people we deal with regularly know that they're going to see us first, and we do good business with them year after year, and keeps us in our place. And this year, we're just so good at making the appointments
Right.
with who we wanted to see, and everything worked out.
It wasn't always easy, but yeah, we made it work. So.
Yeah, it was good. So as you'll see over the next, we have bought so many stones that,
This
the
is
50 that are on here are a small percentage of the
Right.
stones. Didn't buy a lot of big stuff.
no.
Probably could have bought.
We bought nice things.
Yes,
They're not necessarily big, but they were of quality. And
Yeah. We bought some great, I don't usually have 1, 2, 3 carat stones. I'm more into bigger stones, but we focused a little more on those sizes that'll do good in rings and stuff. Blue zircons, we bought so many blue zircons, just fantastic colors. And peridots,
Yes,
some great
yeah.
peridots, some bigger peridots too. And as you'll see coming up shortly is some new peridot that's coming out of Tanzania.
Go Peridot.
Go Peridot.
Yep.
Go-go, that is I think they're called Wagogo, but shortened to Go-go is the native group in Tanzania that are mining this material, so they call it Go-go, which is an interesting name. Yeah, but really nice color, little unique from the other sources of peridot. So, and I think maybe, you have an amethyst now. I think one is coming up shortly.
Yes. And so right now, though, Jeffrey changed it over to, this is a 37, almost 38 gram amethyst crystal, which this is really a cute piece.
Cute.
It is. I mean,
It is.
That's what I think of when I look at it. Because I mean, it's just the crystal just sits on the matrix just like perfectly, and it has a really great look to it, a good size, and it's a pretty color on there. And what I like about it is that, it is in the host rock where it grew, and it just kind of sits there, and it just has an overall great appearance. This one is probably one of my favorites that I bought of these amethyst crystals from Zimbabwe. I bought a few others. Some are like scepters, long scepters. You'll see one of those later. And this one is just sitting on the host rock. I picked up a couple others too that are also on the rock, but this one to me was the most pleasing. So it's a really cool piece.
So, and I just want to say, like, with these pieces, I've gotten in, liked them more since watching you.
Right.
Like Steve, at the show. I commented on this earlier, but Like you go in there and you look at this stuff for hours. Like that, like brought that thing up. Just because we missed dinner and I was hungry. But Michael was in there. I mean, you go through them and just like Dad and you go through the gemstones. You're going through those crystals,
Right?
Finding the best ones.
Yeah, I think this guy was. He said something. He's like, "Wow, you guys are really thorough." Every single piece that we've gone through, and just looking for something special. Because if you just glance over it, you might miss something that if you didn't take the time to take a better look, you might not see it. And this, we saw it.
And Mr. Higgs wanted to know, do you have this one? He wanted to see like the size of it on a hand. I don't know.
This piece?
Yeah,
I have it in my hand right
Okay.
here. So it is not large. I mean, it's
not teeny,
but it's not teeny either.
yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
I don't know.
What's the stuff from Mexico?
Yeah, it's similar, but
a lot more money.
Yes, a lot more money.
What's that called?
It's just the amethyst. Oh,
No, what's
the
that
locality?
source? Yeah.
Oh man, it'll come to me. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, we always pass it up because they're so. Oh, I almost had it.
It's
about that long,
right. But the crystals are similar. I have another specimen from this locality that actually reminds me of the amethyst from Mexico. It's their smaller, thinner crystals, but this one is kind of a little squattier and actually reminiscent of the crystals from Morocco, the amethyst crystals. Those usually they're doubly terminated, almost looks like an hourglass, the purple on top and the bottom. But this one from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's a neat piece.
Yeah. Looks really good.
So that came from the same people we got the sphene and the aqua.
Yes, yeah. And, I mean, there's some gemmy areas in the tip of it, too. Not super clean, but just a nice piece.
Yeah, and that's one of the new sources we got now is Zimbabwe.
Right.
And what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Yeah, I lost it.
Mexico. Where was that? Anybody in the chat? What is the source for the amethyst from Mexico? I know somebody knows and can think of it off the top of their head, but I just can't right now.
Yeah.
And then a lot, if you're ever in Northwest Indiana, want to stop by the store, Mike's got all his crystals here. Otherwise, you can go to mineralmike.com, and he's got an awesome collection in there with videos, numerous pictures showing the sizes and everything. So really cool if you're into crystals or specimens.
And the next month or so, I've got, I bought a ton of new crystals and minerals that I'll be adding slowly. Right now, it's kind of focusing on the gems and getting that all online. But on my free time, after work, I'll be working on that to get all those on there.
And Eileen
Veracruz, that's it.
Veracruz.
Oh, it's Veracruz. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Electric Crystals.
Yeah, we don't even look at those anymore because they want
they're
such crazy money.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nice pieces,
Yeah.
but it is a lot for quartz.
Amethyst, yeah. Did you have a question there, Jeff? Okay, well, let's move on.
And we've got the next hidden gem. So anybody who's stuck around so far knows what's going on here. But for anybody new, hidden gems are the gems that aren't listed yet. But now they are, and they're 25% off. So this one is a 7.68 karat barium style Peridot. This one is the go-go, right?
This is the go-go. They come from Tanzania. It's a brand new source. I don't know. Is it brand new?
It's not brand new, but it's the first that they've had production like this in a while.
Yes, and typically it produces 1-2 carat stones, so larger stones are pretty rare from this source. This is a large stone, but I did buy the 2 biggest pieces we saw, which should cut maybe 15 carat kind of size, which in a peridot is big from any source. The color of this material is a little different than other sources. It's pretty much free of yellow, and just is a real pleasant color. Different than the Pakistan material, pretty much different than any other source I've seen. There's just a slight variation in the color. So this I cut in a Barian emerald cut. And it weighs, like Michael said, 7.68 carats. Very minor inclusions in it. You can see they're just very small, and in person you don't see them at all. The appraised price on this material would be $5,915. Our online price is $2,760, and with the 25 off, comes out to $2,070, which is $269 a carat. But really a pretty stone, and if I do say so myself, it got a good cut on it. Yeah. So here's the biggest piece that we found. And this one in the rough weighs 38 carats. So 38 carat, 40%, 16, 17 carat finished stone, hopefully. Another nice clean stone. And my understanding for this material, this will be about as big as it gets. Time will tell. Whether it keeps producing or was kind of a one-time shot, you never know. And so you buy it when you can, and hopefully it comes out more, because we like a regular supply of material, and so you can develop a market for it.
Question. James wanted to know which Peridot does Steve favor, Pakistan or Tanzania?
Well, I haven't had enough relationship with Tanzania, but Pakistan has been my favorite for sure. Particularly you'll see later we've got some mint colors, which I really prefer I won't say that. I mean, I like what Pakistan produces, both in a standard green, which is similar to this, and the mint colors. The mint colors are kind of unique. You just don't see them often. But I'm not sure they're more saleable than the standard color of Peridot.
Right.
So these are nice because they're just a really pleasant green. I mean, you look at that green color and they're just a pleasant color to look at, unlike material from Arizona, which is more yellowish. Not that Arizona doesn't produce some fine colors, but typically they have more yellow color in it. And they're the reason in the past why people hated their birthstone, because, so much yellow in the stone just is not an attractive color. So Pakistan and this new material, we'll see how these bigger stones cut for me. I'm real pleased with this color, and I think the bigger ones will just be a more intense green. We'll see. So it's an alternative source that produces a color that vies for, the category of top Peridot on the planet. So let us cut a few more and we'll see how they stand up.
And, the other thing is, the Pakistani material is available, and we don't know how, this will continue.
Yeah. And I would bet that this won't continue would be my, it's just typical of production. It's very short-lived, and, they hit a pocket of it and it's there, and as quick as it's there, it's gone. So, we'll see. We'll hopefully get back to Tanzania later this year, and we'll have our eyes open for the Peridot.
All right, and I just wanted a lot of new people joining. If you've enjoyed the show so far, please give us a thumbs up. Just hit that little thumb down below. There's quite a few people watching. We only got 29 thumbs up. Come on. Have some fun tonight. Give us some thumbs
They're
up.
upset I can't get the camera working.
Well,
Yes.
hey,
Yeah,
you
no
better
thumbs down
start
for camera working.
performing or we're going to shut this off.
Yeah, if you join the show, anything that we're talking about on the show tonight, you can go to MoreGems.com and click on the green banner at the top. You'll see all the stones in tonight's show. Use coupon code LOVE at checkout for an additional 15% off that price. And then you can pay with credit card, PayPal. We have Affirm and Bread financing available as well. So, yeah. And if you got questions, log into YouTube or Gmail and you can post them in this lively chat we have going, and I'll try to get those over to Steve.
Thanks, Jeff. All right. Up next is another stone I cut. And this is, for me, the biggest I've ever cut. It won't be the biggest because I have bigger, but the bigger ones are more brownish. This has a little brownish to the yellow tone. But this is a big molly garnet. It's a big garnet for any type of garnet.
Yeah.
And this cut into not a standard round brilliant. This is a round brilliant that I've developed. It's got an extra row of facets on the pavilion, as well as 16 mains instead of the standard 8 mains. And I find it just produces a lot of brilliance. And it's pretty much a standard round brilliant crown on it.
Yeah, this is a really bright stone,
Yeah.
and it's just full of life, and it's what you get with a really nice garnet. It just has a look to it, in my opinion. In here, yeah, you're just not seeing it, but you can see the size. It's got great dispersion. Right when I first saw this stone, it was just a special color. The yellow, it's kind of a greenish yellow. I don't know. What would you?
It's a little greenish, brownish yellow.
Yeah. I don't know. The cut's great on it, though. You did a nice job on that.
Thanks. And you don't always get a chance to cut a big round brilliant like this. It's always a pleasure because garnets react so well to this cut, particularly things with dispersion, because you'll get your greatest dispersion out of a round brilliant like this. Yeah. And nice size stone. There's no extra weight in the pavilion, so you get a full diameter for its weight. It's almost 10 millimeters round. Again, it's to date, it's the biggest molly garnet I've ever had. I think I gave my wife one, maybe it was 2.5 carat. And she thinks it's special because molly garnets are just a cool look because of their high refractive index. Their molly garnets are androtite and spessartite. I don't know. Anybody knows the mix of molly garnet? I'm thinking that's what it is. So it gives them a really high refractive index.
So is that why I like it? Because you got me and Michael, as we talked about earlier, spessartite. And I like that even for a men's ring.
Yeah, that'd be a great
That's probably why, huh?
That's a thought. If nobody wants it, maybe I'll get it. I've been looking for something different.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'm
anybody
not
wants
so
a
big.
man's ring,
I've been personally focused on big rings, and I'm starting to think maybe a little smaller. I look at the rings I got these two, and it's just a pleasing size, a wearable size. You don't feel like it's outlandish that you can't wear it any time. So this would make a great men's ring. And they're relatively hard and relatively tough. So they'll take some abuse. And they're not that expensive. I'm not sure where this should be. I look at it and I go, geez, it should be more expensive than this. But hey, I bought the material right. And so this with the 15 off and coupon code LOVE is $1,350. Special stone for that kind of money, I think. All right, what's next there, Jeffrey?
And cut in again. And James said
Well, questions
95%
here.
grossular and
Oh,
5% androdite.
35% grossular.
No, 95.
95% grossular. I was thinking a little more androdite, but I suppose it varies with the material. Yeah, I was thinking spessor type, but you're right, grossularite, and I knew it was not quite right. And androdite is like demantoid, it helps a lot with the dispersion.
Okay, and there was 3 questions kind of related to the same kind of thing. Supply-wise at the show, how was Opal, Alexandrite, and Montana sapphire?
Alexandrite, nearly non-existent.
I got some.
Oh, there
mineral
was.
specimens,
Yeah, Michael
so-
got some specimens.
Yeah.
They're cool, actually. But the supply of Alexandrite is very minimal. The price is extraordinary. But I really wasn't looking for it because I knew the price was out of bounds for anything I can typically sell. When you start getting into 15,000 a carat, it gets a little limited. I'm sure there's a market for it, but it wasn't on my list of things. Opal was quite a bit, but we looked at a lot of rough and almost bought none. So there just wasn't much fine rough available. A lot more cut stones because they're starting to cut more over there. And they're getting quite good at it, and rightfully so, is cutting the stones there. The government even limits the export. You have to export so much cut compared to the amount of rough that you export. So they're trying to keep the labor there. And I'm fine with buying cut because it's a lot easier. You make a lot less mistakes. Buying rough, you just never know how deep that sandstone goes into it, and often you can cut a stone and it just doesn't cut like you expected it. You look at a cut stone and you know whether it's great or not. And I bought 1,000 carats, and you'll be seeing more and more of it. We put a few stones up today, but I have a lot of gems in cut opal. You're ruining my view, Michael.
Sorry, I'm seeing if I could fix this camera. I wonder if I did it. I did it.
Oh my God, he fixed it.
I've been in the background. All right, I'll see if I can get this working here.
All right.
That's just one more button I got to learn now, huh?
No. Oh, yeah, that might be difficult.
All right.
What was the problem,
Well, we still could have a problem.
Okay. You want to go to the next stone?
Yeah, we'll go to the next stone. We won't count on it, but.
Yeah, don't count on it.
All right, this is a really unusual stone. I had planned on cutting spheres myself, but it is just impossible. The piece of rough to cut a sphere, it has to be deep enough, and by the time you start cutting into this rough, you look at it and you go, gee, do I cut a 20 karat opal or a 6 karat opal? You cut a sphere and you just end up wasting so much material. So I was kind of thrilled to see a big sphere like this. And it's amazing what it does to the light. It will make, doesn't it make, if you look, you can see the same color pattern several places on the stone. I haven't looked at it enough to try and figure out what this optic character is, and why it does that. It does that, doesn't it?
What's that?
You see the same repeats. Pattern repeated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There it goes.
So something to do with the spherical shape, and, it's just kind of mind-boggling. I'd like to keep this sitting around for a while and just look at it to see what it does in sunlight. So we had another sale?
Well, take it home and look at it overnight, and then ship it out. Martha, thank you for purchasing that.
Thank you.
Tell
Martha.
me,
Yeah.
tell me what you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've had no time to look at this stuff.
That's
You
good.
know, it's just been a crazy week since we've been back, and but it's just a neat piece. I don't have to talk about the price or anything, do I? Well, Martha, I don't know what you're going to do with it, but it's special, And I've never seen a sphere, never been offered a sphere like this. You see beads occasionally, but even the biggest beads, I don't think they ever get in this kind of size. Yeah. All right, enough talk about that one. We already did that one. All right, here's another unusual gem. We've done pretty well with these when we've had them mounted, but we've never had one quite this big. It actually looks pretty good in the camera if you can get it in there.
Well, yeah, if Jeffrey will give us that other thing, I can. Right now, I've only got it set up for the small. I'll see if I can. No, I'll see if I can manage trying to.
So this is a rainbow moonstone. These this one's from Sri Lanka. And actually we saw some new material coming out of Madagascar that they're faceting. Not sure how it's going to do because it was different. But,
the Madagascar
stuff?
Yeah.
Not like this where it shows as many colors. It typically showed a flash across it. And they still get the same kind of money for those rainbows. We'll see if we get any rough to cut the rainbows. It facets because it's so transparent, but I'm not sure it will give you as many colors like you see out of this material from Sri Lanka. When I originally saw this material coming out, I thought, wow, that's pretty expensive for a moonstone, but it is what it is, it's the kind of money the material goes for, and it's unique and really mounts well. We've done a couple of rings in the past with it, and it just gives you really a unique look. So this one weighs 11.88 carats. We've got a couple of smaller stones, and the price on smaller stones drops pretty dramatically. But this biggest stone, it's the biggest we saw available that had as much color as this one has.
All right. And bear with me for a second, folks. I'm going to try and see if I can fix the other camera. It's going to probably send us to a weird screen.
Hold on for our technical difficulties.
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. I think I may have fixed the issue. And yeah, sorry, I've been a little distracted trying to figure that out. But I think I might have done it.
Can you give us full screen, Jeff? Yeah, not quite.
So can you give us the overhead camera, Jeff?
Hey,
there it is.
Good job, Michael.
So hopefully this helps a little bit more now that I've been trying to work at that. But you can kind of see the different colors in this. It's those blues and the greens that you see in there that makes it the rainbow moonstone versus just your typical moonstone. And this one's actually really clean. A lot of these you'll see have, they're almost like fractures. This one may have a little bit of it. And from what I understand, it's, I don't know if it's the concussion of the way that they're mining these that causes that. But there's not very much in that, which makes this a really nice, sweet gem.
Yeah, just so many colors in it.
Yeah, be an amazing ring.
Just going to ask that. What would you do with it?
Yeah, I've mounted up one of these for a customer. It was smaller stone, but it was a rainbow moonstone. We did a bezel set. It was really cool. It came out really nice.
Yeah, it did. You know, a ring is where the wearer's going to enjoy it.
Right.
You know, again, not the most durable stone on the planet, but it can take some abuse and just wear it with some care and really enjoy it, because it's something when you look at it in different lights, it's just kind of mesmerizing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just that floating color. You know, unlike the Amalites, which are just striking color, this is just subtle colors that every way you move it, you get a different color.
I believe it's feldspar, correct?
Yes.
So same as like labradorite. What else is feldspar? It's sunstone. Is sunstone feldspar?
Sunstone's a feldspar.
So, yeah. Really cool piece. Nice gem.
All right. Up next, now that we're back in business. Oh, do I give her? Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I did. Where were you? Yeah. All right, next stone. This is a Tsavorite garnet. It actually was sold to us as Marilani Mint garnet, which anymore it doesn't make any difference. Marilani Mint used to be cheaper, but that whole thing has changed. People have decided they love Marilani Mint garnets, and although they still lag a little bit behind what the prices of Tsavorite are, they've gotten very, very close. And this stone is deep enough color because Marilani Mint garnet and Tsavorite garnet are the same gem. You know, they came from the same, this is actually a byproduct of tanzanite mining, but they also get Tsavorite from the tanzanite mines also. But the only mine that produces Marilani Mint garnet is the Tsavorite mine or the tanzanite mines. So this came from the although I think that Kenya designation is probably incorrect. I think this is definitely Tanzanian is the source of this. But whether it's Marilani Mint garnet or Tsavorite, they're both grossular garnets, and it's all a depth of color perception. And typically Marilanis will be more mint colored, although many Tsavorites have that secondary blue coloration, which would denote some of the finest of the Tsavorites. So this particular stone, appraised value of $2,400, sale price $1,390, and with the 15% off, this was, yeah. So we're $1,181 on this stone. Just really well cut. High clarity, you know, the unusually high clarity for garnets. VS1's not common, particularly in Tsavorites, but they do occur. Good luck showing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
can we have an amateur at the controls tonight, but that's okay.
All right, turn that video off, Jeff. All right, there you go. You got it.
So, not a big stone, but just a beauty. You know, it'll make a great ring. So just the brilliance on it is pretty remarkable. Again, cutting is getting better worldwide. Although we do have some good suppliers
right.
that are doing the cutting right, and a couple of our suppliers have started their own cutting factories, and they're just very, very particular about the cutting quality, as they should be, and that's where this business is headed, to fine cutting. There's a lot of places still lagging behind, but they're getting better. You know, just like we found in Kenya, pretty remarkable cutting. Tanzania, we found a great cutter.
Right.
So they do exist. We're not the only fine cutters in the world these days, but
It's difficult to find, though. I mean,
Yeah.
we look through so many gems, like in Tucson. There's, I don't know how many. There's got to be millions of stones out there, and
Yeah.
it's just hard to sort through what's good, and what's not. And cutting wise, like Steve said, it's few and far between that you're going to find a source that has not only quality stones but also a good cutter. And then sorting through those to find the best colors, good sizes, and top quality cut it's the challenge that we have, and it's what we do to try and find you guys the best stones and offer them to you.
All right, next up. So we don't often get chrysoberyl. This particular stone from Tunduru in Tanzania. Tunduru, I haven't been there. I think it's way south. A little more dangerous part of the country that I won't be taking my kids to.
No?
Try not.
No.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah, I don't need to go to...
But chrysoberyl, a good hard stone, a good wearable gem, and just a very, very bright, high refractive index, giving a lot of brilliance to this gem.
So this is a stone that I particularly liked. It stands out. It's got it is, like Steve said, it's bright. It almost glows to me. So
This is our first stone that doesn't really show in this light.
Yeah. It's not quite the right setting on this camera right now, but you can kind of see the brightness to it, and that's what you'll see when you're looking at it. It's just very, even in low lights, it's got a bright look to it.
Big advantage to these lighter colors is they do show the brilliance, which I don't know if you hear my oven going on in the background. I had a little disappointment this morning. Spent the
You want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about it?
Spent the weekend cutting what ended up being a 40 karat tanzanite. Kind of hoped for 50 karat, but I only got 40 out of it. But it was a little dark, so it was natural color, fortunately. And sometimes when you heat them, they brighten up, and that's my hope. So I've got this 40 karat tanzanite back in the oven tonight, and we'll see tomorrow whether it helps or I have to cut a 30 karat out of it. And, it's a kite shape, which is risky, just like pear shapes, that tip tends to concentrate the color and it could be too dark. And even when I bought the stone, I told him, I don't know. It just seems a little dark. So, no. I guarantee this won't be too dark.
Right.
And the friggin' thing is dark. But I guess I just got to trust my own self. Because the 40 karat tanzanite, no matter what, it's expensive to me to start with too. But, even if I cut a 30 karat, I can still make some profit out of it. Just, I lose $6,000 worth of a gem. But, as long as I can come out of it and not lose money, I'll be happy. But hopefully the heating does help. I've seen it where stones brightened up once you remove the yellow out of it, which this one has a little bit of greeny yellow, and I don't know how that's going to react. The yellow is the third color. Blue, purple, yellow is what's in tanzanite, and the yellow is what you're driving off when you heat it. So hopefully I'll have a happy day tomorrow because it didn't start out too well today, but yeah, all is good.
Hey, I got the camera working.
You got the camera working. That's a good job there, Michael.
Yeah, see,
what would I do
yeah.
without you? Yeah.
So hopefully, that'll be good too. It'll turn out good.
I hope so.
Yeah.
My 10, 12 hours of cutting time will not be in vain. I have to spend another 6 hours to recut it.
It was a cool piece of rough too. It was actually a natural crystal.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Almost a perfect crystal.
Yeah.
Just had a couple of facets that for some reason
They polished them. Yeah.
They polished it. They tried to, I'm sure it was chipped, and they tried to take the take it out. And
Yeah, that's what you got to look out for too, is when you're buying, especially mineral specimens, because that's something that most collectors don't want. They don't want a polished surface. They want everything natural. So when these, people are trying to sell these stones, sometimes you'll get these people that will just put in these polished facets just to try and, sell it as a natural stone.
they could have done a little better than they did.
Yeah, well,
But, and that's what we see in Tucson all the time. You look at quartz crystals, man, 90% of every quartz crystal that's out there has had the tip repolished, because they mine them and the tips are chipped. And collectors don't want that. And they've gotten really good at polishing these big surfaces and gotten them really, really flat. It gets difficult to tell what's polished and what's not. But if you look close enough, typically you can tell a polished surface from the natural surface. So, all right, next up. All right, another natural tanzanite. We did have some success in finding naturals. Naturals are some of the best-selling stones that we've got. We did really well when we were buying in Tanzania, finding some naturals. And we had some success. We had good success.
Yeah.
That pink was special, and this is a special stone too.
Yeah, this is like it's peachy pink. Maybe a little bit of blue in there you could see. But a really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice gem. And again, these fancy colors in tanzanites are just exceedingly rare. I really go out of my way to try and buy everything I can because I know whatever I buy typically sells. I bought a few pushing the limits of what is pretty, but this is not one of them. This is just a beautiful gem. Even not calling it a fancy tanzanite, knowing the rarity, it just is a beautiful gem on its own. Just a cool color, excellent cutting, and that's the other thing we found. These fancies, because of the rarity, they just tend to cut them awkwardly, culettes off center, just not polishing them as well as they should, just trying to get away with whatever they can to get the biggest stone rather than the prettiest stone. But this has got everything. The cut's right, the clarity it's a VS2, so there's something very minor in it. But again, these fancies, you just can't cut away material to get a flawless gem. You still, it's important the size. And a stone over 2 carat is a critical size range for this material. Much of the things we see are sub-carat, just over a carat is more typical. And we have several of those. It won't be on the show tonight, but we have several different fancies that are smaller, but it's just a nice size stone, nice brilliance, everything about it. It hits to my favorite color range, these peachy colors. So it's a good stone. Praise price, there is no praise price on it because the guide doesn't do fancy tanzanites. And again, they're so rare that there is no price standardization for these fancy colors. When you only see a few of them in your lifetime, it's hard to put a price on it. But this one has a price of $1,960. And if we take the 15% off, it's $1,666. So right in the same range of other tanzanites. If it were blue violet, it'd be the same kind of price range. Comes out to about $680 a carat. So rare stone and and a reasonable price for a fancy tanzanite. Next up. Once Jeff figures it out, we'll be there. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. So we've got
another one of these cool crystals.
Another amethyst from Zimbabwe. So if you were here earlier, I was talking about how they have some of these scepters. And this is just like the other one, that amethyst crystal, except it's sitting on top of a longer quartz crystal. which is really cool. It's kind of a unique look to it. It's got some nice zoning in there. It looks like some hematite inclusions, those little red dots in there. But a really cool piece just for a collector. And it's nice and sparkly around the base too. It doesn't quite show it in the video how much sparkle's got going on there, but I don't know if you can see it here, but I don't know what the best view.
Whoops. I don't know if this light helps at all, or
You can kind of see it glistening. But a really cool little specimen.
So what are the crystals like? Are they good form crystals? Probably not
on
that
the side,
small. Huh?
Yeah, not that I can really look at, but just an interesting growth on the side. I'm not sure if that's etched or if that's just something, a secondary growth on there, but cool piece.
Yeah, those were a special find. We've never seen things quite like that.
Yeah, and nice termination to it.
So $199 with the coupon code LOVE, it comes out to $169. Yeah, special piece.
Yeah.
Look at the zoning in that.
Right.
That's cool. And we have a sale,
We do.
and it is
Let's thank Kevin. He picked up the Chrysoberyl.
Oh, cool.
cool.
Nice. That's
all right.
one of my favorites, Kevin. That's a good one.
Yeah. I think maybe we had Chrysoberyls last year. I think we had a couple
we did.
last
We picked
year.
up a couple, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's few and far between, but yeah, it's a special gem.
Cool.
Yeah, that's nice. All right, up next. So this is a little Tsavorite, but by far the finest color. I mean, this, if I were going to categorize the finest color, it'd be this. Just really a pure green, no secondary yellow colors, just a pleasant gem.
Yeah, and the color on
it's secondary blue.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't. The picture looks nice on this, but in hand, the green is even better.
Yeah. Green is generally impossible for us to get perfect with our camera. This is as close as we can get to it. But like he says, in the hand, it's greater depth of color and a little more blue to it. Like I say, if I were going to pick a perfect color, this would be it. Weighs 105. This one is from Kenya.
Yeah, that doesn't do it.
No.
Oh yeah, the setting is not favorable for.
So ignore this picture.
Yeah.
If you look at the picture online and think it's going to be a lot prettier than that, that's what you're going to get.
Right.
So it is really a special stone. I wish it were a 3 carat, but it's a 3 carat. I'm not sure where Tsavorite would be. Probably 4,000 a carat, maybe more. I don't know. But would make a special ring. The brilliance. It's really cut beautifully, and the clarity it's a very clean stone again, a VS1 clarity. And if you look at all the Tsavorites we have online, there's maybe the only 2 VS1 clarity are the 2 that we have in the show currently. So special little gem. You put some diamonds around this, it just make a great ring. So what is that with
1780? So $1,513 for this beautiful gem.
So this, like most garnets, there's no treatments involved. The only garnet that I know that I've heard of being treated is some demantoids. Particularly, there's some come out of Colorado, actually. never seen them, but I heard talk of them taking some heat treatment. But all other garnets are, totally untreated. So this grading of VS1, that's the highest I grade. To grade any higher, you'd have to spend so much time on a stone to grade VVS or flawless. So VS1 throughout everything we have, including tanzanites and all our stones, VS1 will be the highest clarity grading that we give a stone.
So just a question before we go on. I think we've talked about this before, but I don't know if we have any on the show tonight or if we call it that, but do we have any, or do you ever get any peacock tanzanite?
No, we do.
I don't know about
we
this
don't,
show.
but we do.
Yeah. we got some in Tanzania.
Yeah.
You had that.
know.
Did you sell that big one that you recently cut? I think it was an oval.
And it was peacock. Yeah.
It was a deeper color, but it had more blue to it, so blues and greens. But
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of stones come in and out, and those typically sell fairly quick. But we may have some in stock that we just haven't had a chance to put online yet.
Yeah, we have a lot of inventory yet that hasn't got online,
Right.
and hopefully over the next month we'll get a lot of what we have on. Yeah. And hopefully I'll get a chance to cut a few more tanzanites and get some naturals, which is
And you still have that
tough.
parcel of greens too, right? Or have you gone through most of those?
Yeah. No, I have a parcel of greens, which are no longer coming out of the ground. They told us that in Tanzania, that all that green was just a one-time hit and gone. So we had a sale.
We did.
Yes, Michael picked up this amazing green Tsavorite.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, you like that one.
Yeah, wait till you see it.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's beyond description.
Yes. Yeah.
Beyond the photographing.
I think I was trying to take a picture of this one, and I'm like, man, I just can't get it to look as good as it is.
Yeah.
So I did my best, but I think you'll be pleased once you see it.
Yeah. At least you can see the brilliance of it. You just can't see what the color is.
Yeah.
And, so thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, up next. So here's one of the mint green peridots. This is out of Pakistan, and if you look close, you'll see the typical needles that in this color are always there, but in person, you just will have very difficult time ever seeing those needles. This is about as few needles in this color as you see. I'm not sure if the other one we have on tonight, if you can see the needles at all or if there is any. But typically, this has what's called Ludwigite. They're just fine black needles. And, I once cut a 77 karat stone that just had a lot of needles in it. But, when it cut, when you looked at it in the hand, you just couldn't see the needles. Photography shows everything. So if there's anything in it in a photo, you're going to see it because the lights and the close-up camera show everything. But in person, you're not going to see these needles. And talking about that 77 karat, it was a stone that when it finished, I was happy with it, that the needles didn't show much. I mean, you could see them. But they went to my best collector at the time, and his comment was, "This is the best stone I own." And he owned 5 karat blue diamonds, and he pretty much had everything, But this minty color is just such a pleasing color to me.
Yeah. And this camera doesn't quite show that good of
Yeah,
a
the
color.
setting will put more yellow in it, and the accuracy is in the photo and the video on this stone. It's just a unique cut and unique color. We didn't cut this stone, but the cutter is really, really a good cutter. We're happy with the quality of cutting and the unique shapes.
Here's the crystal of the Peridot.
Same color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be full of Ludwigite.
This one's not too bad, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, you want to give me that other camera?
And I did buy some rough, and again, they have Ludwigite in them. One of them I think is clean. And here's this is a nice bigger crystal.
Where is it?
I don't think that's the cleanest one, but and this is the situation. This supplier had a big piece. How big was that?
I don't recall. It
was going to cut a 50 or 60 carat peridot. And I just got done buying this morganite and the big tanzanite that's in the oven, and this peridot was $10,000 for the piece of rough, and I just wasn't up for it at the time. After talking to people afterwards, and friends that said, "Oh, you should have bought that," just because the value of a 60, 70, or 50 or 60 carat peridot would have made the cost of the rough seem relatively inexpensive, although it was a little bit too much for me at the time.
You can kind of see the blue coming through on that.
Yeah.
But
nice gem. Weighs 9.24 carat. Peridot's rarity price starts about 5 carats, where they get more difficult to find. They're just getting stuff that's clean, that you can cut. A fine 10 carat is tough to come up with, although I probably got 6 of them here that will cut between 10 and 15 carat stones. So $2,960 ends up $2,500.
And here's if you could go to that other screen, Jeff. Something cool that specimen wise I thought was pretty neat. It's a peridot crystal, but it's been etched, so that etching on there is natural. And they said that they find these in just little pockets. So certain pockets will have been etched like this, and I think it's a really neat specimen. I actually bought a few of these. Usually I prefer the sharper terminations, but something about this really was attractive to me and unique. It's not just your typical crystal. Another, instance has happened after it had grown.
Is this a facettable one?
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't looked into it enough.
And a little tip for your jewelers: when you look at this, you see the etching, and that's what will happen if you put a ring with peridot in the pickle. Pickle is often sulfuric, some type of acid, if you leave it in there for any length of time, it will etch the surface of peridots, as well as garnets. Garnets don't do well in the pickle. And what's the purpose of a pickle?
The pickle, it cleans the fire scale off the metal. It kind of cleans it up for when we're going to solder or after we've soldered. So it makes it makes it for a cleaner solder joint, and if there's any fire scale on it afterwards, it'll remove that.
But don't pickle peridot.
Yeah, usually colored stones, we don't anything. I don't put in the pickle. It's just I don't know. I don't want to take the risk. So
yeah, there's a lot of things that'll take it. Sapphires and rubies and what else? I'm sure aqua probably does.
Yeah, I try and take measures to not have to even worry about that. So.
Yeah, Steve's unhappy when he has to repolish the whole surface of a gem.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, up next.
Before we get up next, just for everybody that's joining us, again, if you like any of the stones on the show, you can go to MoreGems.com, click on that green banner. You see all the stones from tonight's show. Use coupon code LOVE at checkout for 15% additional off. You can use credit card, PayPal, or we have financing through Affirm and Bread. If you got questions for Steve, there's a lively chat going on. If you don't see it, you're probably not logged in. But if you are, you can post any types of questions. Steve and Michael will answer them for you. And if you're enjoying the show, again, please give us that thumbs up down below the video. It's easy. All you got to do is click it once, and it means so much. So I'm graded afterwards on that.
Can they click it twice?
Yeah.
No, don't click it twice because that undoes the.
It
does it.
Do it once.
Do not click
or
twice.
3 times.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Click it twice. Oh my God.
Any odd number of times is okay.
Yes.
But just once. That'd be great.
Once. Thank you.
Once. Now. Okay, up next. Okay, this is amazing gem. This is one that
We debated.
I didn't debate.
Well,
You weren't sure it was on the list because we were trying to keep to a budget, and we spent double what our budget was.
I didn't want to debate either. There was 2 stones we had pulled out. And
Yeah.
I definitely wanted them both. But yeah, it was something that.
Those 2 stones doubled what our budget was.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the only question. I didn't have any question, because this is such an amazing color. This is like the finest spessartite on the planet. And it's a sapphire, and a stone over 3 carats in sapphire is a rare thing. And a stone of this color is something I've never owned. Like you'll find in several stones coming up yet. There are stones that we've never owned before. They're just unique in their color, unique in their clarity. This is a very clean stone. Sapphire is not known to be VS1 clarity. It's just not that common. But this is VS1 clarity. It's heat treated, which most sapphire is heat treated. This comes from Madagascar. Just a totally unique color in my experience. It's like ultra orange,
Right.
or orange is known in the business, but this intensive orange is just beyond what I typically see. So it weighs 309. The appraised value is $17,150. The guide does price orange sapphires, and this is at the top of its quality. Appraised price, or the sale price, is $84.90, and with the coupon code LOVE, it's $72.16. So it's about maybe $2,200 a carat, or maybe a little more than that, $23. But really a special stone. I mean, you just set it on the table, it just glows.
Right.
There's just something extra special about this gem.
Yeah, a lot more vibrant than what the video's showing, I think. I mean, it's good, but
Yeah, the picture's good.
yeah. The video seemed a little bit toned down, but this, it's a bright stone.
And the cutting on it, again, really, really top quality cutting. This is all done in Sri Lanka, and they just have a really good cutting factory.
Yeah, nice stone.
Yeah.
And it's sapphire and good durable stone. Perfect for a ring. Be nice and a pendant, but if you could look at that.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe a little too, I don't know.
Steve, he's hunting for his next ring. So is this the second one that you've liked so far?
Yeah, well, I've theoretically sold the tanzanite ring off my hand, which, after seeing their spessartites, I think I just want a smaller ring. But then, of course, I've been looking at an opal that's about twice the size of my tanzanite.
Oh, there's one that's like almost the size of 2 of my fingers. He's like, you think this is too big? I'm like,
But it's so unique because the back is maybe prettier than the front, and the front is beautiful. So I was going to ask Chris to try and make a rotating ring for me so I could flip it over and wear it one way one day and flip it the other way and have both sides a possibility. So you may see that in the future because I do love opal. Opal I'm passionate about. And, I shouldn't be talking about opal. We got a sapphire here, but, I do love opals.
Eileen said there's no such thing as a too big a ring.
Yeah, well, I've made some pretty big rings, and it's just that's been my motto. but I would like something a little tamed down, something in the 5, 6, 7 carat size, rather than the 10 to 20 carat size that I've been doing. I'd like something lower to my finger, and you can't do a 15 carat stone and have it low to your finger. Other than opal. Opal I could do big, and, I could see look for something that's 5 carat, I think. Or like that molly garnet.
Right.
We'll see if I cut another molly garnet. I've got a couple of bigger ones, whether the brown ones come out beautiful. I mean, I've got a couple of molly garnets that are going to cut the biggest one I've ever seen. They're going to cut 10 carat plus, but definitely to the brown. I don't know how they're going to look, but they're clean stones, and it hopefully is something special.
That's the molly garnet there. That if you weren't here earlier, that Steve's talking about.
So, they just cut so bright. Yeah, we'll see.
And just you're talking about custom design a ring, and you brought up Chris. I think a lot of people are new here. Who's Chris?
Chris is my nephew, and he's been our designer since a long time, since the late 80s, maybe. Is he old enough for that?
I don't know. Yeah. When did you start the store? And
it
before
had
94.
to be, it had to be 85, 86, maybe.
Yeah.
Chris, if you're out there, how long have you been with us? Anyway, Chris is our designer. And, you like to take a stone like this and say, well, I'd like to do a ring. Here's some ideas I've liked, and Chris can come up with a design. Or if you don't know what you want, you just say, I want some diamonds with it, or, I want some different colors with it. We'll try and come up with a design to show you what we do and say, it's not quite right. I'd like to change this. It's all done in CAD, so it's relatively easy to change. Chris used to carve wax by hand. I just think of the tediousness of that. And he was exceptional at cutting wax. But you only get one chance at making a wax into a ring. And if it doesn't cast right, you got to cut it again. And, so that's the downfall of carving wax, as opposed to doing the computer. I mean, you can produce 50 models. I could have 50 rings tomorrow in wax ready to cast, or it doesn't cast correct. You just make another one and you can cast it. So there's a big benefit to computer-aided design. Plus, you get to see it. We send you a render of it. You see exactly what you're going to get, and there's generally no surprises all the way through the process.
And anymore, you can print a ring, within a half an hour. So even if you came into the store and you saw the render of it, he could print it while you're browsing, and then you could even try it on. So it's come a long way, and he does a really nice job. And we also do all the work in-house. So once it's grown, we can cast it here. A lot of the times we'll be sending it out to a casting house. It just makes it a little bit easier for us. And then all the work comes through here. We do the setting and finishing. All right.
Up next, just talking about these.
Yeah. Nice
Opals.
opal ring right here.
And this is one we just bought. And this is, what do you say about a stone like this with so much color everywhere you look? You turn it on the back, you'll see why I say, sometimes the backs are as pretty as the front. They're just opal straight through. There's no potch, meaning the non-opal material that's often in the back of an opal. This is just pure opal through and through. And the colors, they amaze me. And just the intensity of the colors. And
Yeah,
there's
they're
no
just
dead spots anywhere.
all over the place. This is solid opal. That's kind of what Ethiopia right now. They're just known for these nice size opals. You don't usually see a very thin one. If you do, I'm not too sure why you do, just because this material is available in big sizes. The difficult thing is finding good quality material, because there is a wide variation in between the lower end to the top quality. So it's difficult to find the best of what there is, and that's why we see our supplier first. We get there, and every time Steve is, I buy too much.
I double my budget here
Yeah.
too. But it's hard to pass up. And,
Yeah.
and he called us after he was at the show, and he says, I just got a shipment of this black material in, which is kind of like semi-blacks, and went back and bought another 500 carats from him. So it's just easy to do when you look at all these amazing opals, and just the variety of colors, the variety of patterns that are in them. It just blows me away. And like Michael was mentioned, the thickness of these opals makes them more durable. If you look at Australian opal, they're often very, very thin. And the thickness adds significantly to the durability of this gem. So this is $2,300 for 25 karat opal. With 15 off, it's $1,955, which probably puts it at $70 a carat,
And this one's there's a lot of blues in it, just kind of, which I don't see a lot of blues, and maybe some violet in there.
Yeah, there's every color.
But
seeing those violets in there, again, like the Amalite,
yeah,
it just you don't see that color very often.
And they're floating around in there.
Yeah, and indigo's there too. But we have many, many opals. If this one doesn't please you, we have one to please you. Because I bought a huge amount last year and still have many that haven't made the website. And then I buy another 1,000 carats of material this year, and I'll continue, and I can get material that looks like this. If this was an Australian opal, it'd be $300-400 a carat. And that may be an underestimate. They seem to think that theirs is better. These are hydrophane, which you have to be a little careful with it as far as what you get on it, because they will absorb oils and absorb chemicals. But all opals, including Australian, have their weaknesses, and hydrophane is this one's weakness. Color is never its weakness. It just has the finest play of color of any opal, no matter where you go. Australians will say theirs is better, maybe in black opals that are thousands of dollars a carat. They're more dramatic than this, but in general, their white opals will never display better colors than what you're seeing in this opal.
Cool.
I'll probably get some hell for that from some
We got some
Australian
questions
somewhere.
about it anyway.
But sorry,
No
that's
complaint.
my feeling.
A few things. So when you were talking about being careful with the stone, Martina wants to know, is it because it's more porous, or?
Yeah, well, it will absorb liquids. So we've got videos of putting this in water, and you can see the color just kind of dissipate. It becomes very, very transparent. But given a day or two, they dry out and the color comes right back. But you don't want to get oils into it, because oils will affect the color, and it won't come out as easily. I'm sure there's a way to get them out, but I haven't found that yet. So you have to be careful what you get on it. You don't want to get hair dyes on it, or you don't want to get, when you're wearing it, you want to protect it from hairsprays and perfumes.
So it should be the last thing
creams.
that you put on.
Yes, yes.
Once you get ready, the opal should be your kind of final thing before you go out.
And when we mount them, we try to make sure that it stays off the skin. and doesn't absorb body oils. So that's the only thing you have to be careful with these. Other than that, they are considered to be the toughest opal on the planet. They will take blows better than any other opals. So they're tougher. All the other characteristics are better, but the hydrophane character is the concern. So,
And is it as porous as pearls?
As porous as pearl. Well, yeah, absolutely. They'll absorb water. They're more porous than pearl. I don't know how porous pearl really is. Pearl doesn't absorb moisture readily, if it does at all.
Here's coming up next, a piece of opal rough, Ethiopian. So if I lick my finger and I stick it to it,
yeah,
that's how it's not coming off.
That's hydrophoneity,
so it is absorbing that water, which is now stuck to my finger. So that shows you how porous these can be. So
and that's about as hydrophane as you get them.
Right. Yeah.
Some won't stick, and some will stick more than others.
Yeah.
But it's a way to tell whether an opal is hydrophane or not. You stick it to your tongue, and it sticks there.
Okay. James wants
Stick
to
it
know.
to your tongue there, Michael.
I'm not gonna do
Yeah, you want to sell it. I know.
it. James wants to know, does Steve remember the old source of Ethiopian chocolate opal? It was gorgeous,
Yes.
like the black
She was.
Australian
Mazizo.
opal, but would always crack.
Oh,
Yeah, Mazizo is, you don't want it. It has problems. It has serious problems. Will not hold up.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that came out of there that's stable.
Yeah.
It'll craze, and, you can't cut it. You can't. Yeah.
Okay.
So that gave Ethiopian a bad name for quite a while, because that's what people were used to, and they knew the material wasn't stable. And then they found the Wheelo material, and it is stable once cut. Cutters have issues with it. It can crack while cutting, but you generally won't have an issue after that of it crazing, cracking, or just things that do not happen to this opal after it's cut. And I say it doesn't happen. It can happen, but it's so rare. It just doesn't happen to us. But while I'm cutting it, maybe 1 out of 10 will develop a crack.
All right. So let's.
One more.
Did we give a price on this?
We should probably move on.
Moving
We've got
on.
Quite a few, quite a few stones.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll have to
All right. I'll
speed
come
this
back
up a
to
little
Ethan.
bit. Okay.
So we'll go through this quick because.
All right. This is a 25.81 carat piece of opal rough, and is for cutters out there. It is a stone that will cut a very nice gem.
So the material in there, there's not much material where you see the rock. That is just rock. So where you do see the opal, though, that's all pretty much clean material. And it looks like a good candidate for a nice cabochon.
Or a faceted.
Or a faceted stone, yeah. But this is one of those dark based opals.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it has a, like I said, a darker base, which makes those colors a little bit more dramatic, and just colors throughout. So, like I was saying, the where the rock is here and on this end, there's no material in there, but clean throughout where the gem is. So great for cutting, but it's also a nice specimen too. If you want to just, have a collector's item, it actually looks really nice just as it is. I think it stands too. So you could stand it there. So it's got its own natural base.
Or you could mount it just as it is.
Yeah, but the rock on there, I worry about that.
It's a little friable, but if you got it in the mounting, it'd be stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I look at these often. I go, after I cut it, I go, God, I should have left it as it was. It was prettier, but this isn't one of those. This is dramatic color.
Yeah, this was one of the few pieces of rough that we got, because rough right now it's just not available in quality. They're doing a lot of the cutting over in Ethiopia. So finding rough is a lot more difficult nowadays, especially of this quality.
So why are you selling it?
Well, I'd like to offer some of these things. But yeah, I mean,
True.
this is one of those pieces that it will cut a really nice gem. So if it doesn't sell in a timely manner, yeah, I'll definitely cut it up. But I thought it would look like a cool specimen. I mean, even how it's sat on its own and everything. And so if there's a, mineral collector out there that wants a nice specimen of Ethiopian opal, this is ideal.
And you take this out in the sunlight and you won't believe the colors. It really, sunlight is opal's, this type of opal's best friend.
And James asked about the emeralds from Ethiopia. Steve's actually cut one. I was just showing it today to somebody. Natural, totally natural, no oil, no treatments. Super gem, super clean. And I don't know, maybe you cut one or two others from that source.
Yeah, a couple.
But
it just hasn't been available.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of problems in Ethiopia. There's warring going on everywhere, north, south. The emeralds and the morganites coming out of the southern end of the country. We just not seeing any right now. Just so much unrest.
Cool. So yeah, $549 and 15% off of that. So about $467. Cool piece.
Next. All right, another hidden gem. Talking about opals. This
Is that next? Yeah. Huh?
it wasn't in the order, huh?
Somewhere in there. There we go.
Okay. So a nice size gem, weighs 465, but you get a big face for 4 carats. Almost 15 millimeters long, so it's about 2/3 of an inch. And just remarkable colors. Look at that. Yeah. I have it as a semi-black. That's it's not debatable. If this was Australian, they'd call it semi-black. Semi-black just means it's not a black base, but it's a darker base, usually starting at gray to, this is a little beyond gray, but whether it's semi-black.
Look at all those colors.
But whatever it is, it's just great colors. And the other characteristics about a lot of the Ethiopian opal is the crystal character, meaning crystalline, it's just very translucent, up to some that are transparent. And crystal in Australia is the top quality opal because getting color to show in crystalline material in Australia is very difficult. In Ethiopia, it's common.
Show that a little bit.
So it's something you can't quite read through it, but it's not far from that. And I've got many that you can read through, but this depth of color is in this depth of transparency is probably where the best colors show up. Again, full rainbow of color and just bright, vivid colors.
So this one's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, I debated whether to put this on as the 75 off, but we always have at least 4 gems, and this kind of puts it fairly low for the quality of this opal.
So
Puts it at 467.
Yeah, just over 467.
Yeah. So basically $100 a carat. Semi-blacks, when you look at the guide, are worth about double what a white opal is. There's the purples and indigos and violet and reds and yellows, and
Cool little patch.
they're all there. Yeah, that's a little different area, different pattern.
I don't know. I stepped away for a sec, but I don't know. Peggy wanted to know if it would be good for a ring or a pendant.
Well, if you really, well, it's both, but if you want to enjoy it, it's a great ring. And the comments I get from the pendants we make is they just say people just constantly commenting on it, and that to me is, I wear a ring. I do like people to notice it. And these opals, everybody notices. It's hard not to. All right. And it's a fairly big ring. 14 millimeter stone is a fairly large stone for a ring, but not oversized. And up next is one of those rarities that you don't see very often, a bicolor sapphire. A lot more sources from sapphire, and we're seeing more bicolors, but, and probably partly because people are trying to cut bicolors, because sapphire is known to be zoned. So in the past, people would try to avoid cutting a bicolor, and they'd try and get that concentrated color into the culet so it spread throughout the stone. But now we're finding that these bicolors are some of the most saleable things available. I've got a friend that's bringing in the Malawi blue zircons, and the ones we've had quick success with are the ones showing two colors. And he's having the same issue. People are starting to ask more and more for the stones with multiple colors or color zoning in them, and that's just exactly what we've been finding in all stones. These bicolors have become popular just because they're different, and everybody's looking for something different these days. So this is a 3.55 carat. Again, and sapphire is a fairly good sized stone. They getting clean stones like this, which again, a VS1 clarity. So very high clarity. And then getting a bicolor with clear and yellow in it is something unique. So $5,860 is our price online, $8,000 the appraised price, which is figured from yellow. The guide doesn't price bicolors, but they do price yellows. And I price this as being more of a yellow sapphire, not for the rarity of its bicolor. So $5,860 and 15 off is $4,675.
No.
Oh, that's not the right one.
No.
$5,860. Sorry. I gave that 25%er. So $4,980 is the price of this stone. Which puts it right in the $1,400 a carat, which in sapphire is kind of definitely on the low end of where 3 carat stones in sapphire would be. So this from Madagascar, and one place I hope we can get to one day, although production other than sapphire has been pretty limited right now.
Yeah, that's a cool gem.
And up next, blue zircon. So this is some of the Malawi blue zircon that comes in such intense colors. This particular material is relatively new to the market. Maybe the last 6-7 years they've been producing is probably the earliest I've seen it. And the nice thing about this is the quality of cutting. Much of the material that's cut in Cambodia is cut excessively deep because the rough is deep, and they just don't waste the material. The formation of this rough is a little different. It's shallower, so you can economically cut it correctly, like you would cut a diamond. No extra belly, and you get the diamond-like brilliance that zircon is known for.
Yeah, almost like the treated, irradiated diamonds, that blue color. But not quite, but
yeah, similar. Those have a little bit greenish to them
right.
also. But this not irradiated. It has been heated. Almost all blue zircons are heated, whether they come from Cambodia or from Malawi.
But you can see how not deep, Yeah. We're just so used to seeing these stones being so deep that it's kind of refreshing, especially for us setters.
Yes.
Because it can be a challenge. Or, as Chris, as the designer, when you are putting, say, a blue zircon from Cambodia into a ring, those things can be deep. And I'm trying to set it as low as I can so you don't have some ring where the stone is sitting so high. But I don't want to set it so deep to where the culet falls through and is rubbing against the skin. So there's kind of a delicate balance of where we need to actually put these stones. Because I want to set it as deep as possible, but you don't want that culet coming through.
And we've worked to buy from both our sources. We worked hard with the Cambodian material to just pick cuts that were shallower. Because so many of the cuts, I've got several stones in my inventory that should be recut because they're like snow cones. But you look at them, they're so beautiful because they have such incredible brilliance. But like I said, when you go to set it, unless you're doing a pendant, they set up too high. They kind of look awkward because of the depth of the stone. So, that's the big benefit of this material. It's cut right and easy to set. This one weighs 2.75 carat. Cut grade is excellent on it. VS1 clarity, so everything about it is really top quality, and the color is just to die for, really. And getting it's not bad for the color. It's hard to show that green. But this, the green is slight in it, but the depth of color is what's so important with this stone. Appraised price of $2,200. Our online price $990, and $841 is the price with 15% off. The appraised price on this material is quite high, but our two sources are direct sources, both the Cambodian material and the material from Malawi. They're getting rough direct from the source and cutting it themselves, and so we just have very good prices on blue zircons. Up next, that's not right. Oh, there we go. Now talk about a stone that we've never seen, you've never seen, nobody's ever seen.
Yeah, this is crazy.
This is a crazy stone. It's a sapphire and a ruby in one. It's a little too violet in the red end to be probably called a ruby, but it's hard to describe.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, there was no question.
It was
just what is that? That can't be real.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, really cool piece.
Again, another Madagascar stone. Madagascar has been producing incredible sapphires since I started going there in the early 2000s. And they just have so many unique colors. And this being the most unique I've ever seen. It's indescribable.
Yeah, the zoning is so strong.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a bicolor, these colors in anything. Occasionally you see tourmalines with blue and usually tricolors, bluish, but not blue like this. And to go into that depth of reddish color, it's just it's a one of a kind for sure. The purple you see at the end, the red is more violet-y. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a mix. The camera tends to separate these colors a little bit. It's not quite so distinctly separate.
Looks like we got a sale.
Yes. Phil picked up this crazy piece.
Yeah, I like
This
this
is
one, Phil. Yeah, this is a cool one.
It's indescribable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Something else.
it's something that should be photographed and sent to GIA. I'm sure it would go in their trade journal,
Right.
just because there's nothing like it. I mean, if I see another one like this, I would be amazed. I've never seen it in my entire time in business and don't expect to see it again. Unfortunately, I've seen it for such a short period of time.
This is the third time I've looked at it.
Sometimes that's the unfortunate thing of these shows. Everything new goes on it, and I get so little time to look at it and appreciate, what it truly is. And, these things should be photographed and should be stored somewhere.
Yeah.
This is something that whatever you do with it, there should be publicity for it somewhere. This is the kind of thing
that's just like an anomaly.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then for it to be clean too, like that. Like,
true. Yeah.
Like gem quality. I mean,
yeah.
Even if it was like a included crystal, it'd be,
It'd be
wild.
unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, I would like to have seen the original, although I'm sure it's heat treated. I wasn't told that, but we just assume it's been heat treated just so you wouldn't have actually known what you had until I would like to have known.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a picture of what the original is and what you get, which we try and do. But
I asked the supplier, but he was unsure too. I think he had bought it.
He bought it cut already.
Cut,
yeah. This is their cutters, but you see something like this, just like me. No question, I'm buying that. Give me the best price, and it's mine. Yeah, so glad you got it.
Cool, thanks, Phil.
Yeah, this would be a good ring. Yeah, it's got the durability, but it's such a rare stone. I'm half scared to put it at any risk, but it's a sapphire, so tough stone, and it can go in a ring or whatever. So, bye. I'll miss you. I owned it once, and I have pictures. I can prove it.
Yeah.
So, thanks. Appreciate that.
What's up next, Jeffrey? All right, another piece of opal rough. So, like before, this is a cool specimen. A little bit nice, tight
This
color
is
patterns.
kind of a last-minute purchase from a new supplier.
Yeah. This was this is definitely this one's got. There's some not issues, but just one part where the rough goes a little bit deep into the opal that you'll need to cut out if you were to cut this. Otherwise,
which is typical of this material. You always find that brown material often goes in deeper than what it seems it might. You think you could just cut it right off, and then it goes into a pocket, and
and that it's right back here somewhere.
Yeah, but like 90% of this opal is opal. Other than the little piece that goes in it, it's just a pure opal and great color. So it is a cuttable piece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I buy these for. I try and, for my mineral website, there's people out there that want to collect, whatever minerals, and having a great opal would be, I think, cool for a mineral collection. Otherwise, I mean, it doubles as a piece of cutting rough. And I mean, it's reasonably priced too. I mean, $366 and 15% off of that. I mean, for something so colorful, I think it's really cool.
And the cutting rough, like Michael's mentioned, has gotten very difficult to get. And I think the only reason that this guy had it is because he's new at the business and hasn't started cutting it himself yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So $311 for this piece of, top quality opal rough, which is rare now. I mean, we used to be able to get it fairly regularly, but the past 3 years, I'd say what has been available in rough just hasn't been the quality as the cut stones we found, except for these few pieces.
And I got to think you're looking at maybe finishing a 10 carat if you're cutting it. That it just depends how deep that pocket goes and whether it affects your cut at all. So 10 carat puts you at $36 a carat. I don't know where there to that side.
I'm trying to kind of see the pockets of it.
Yeah. It's rare you see this rough with that much of it being opal. Like the first one he showed, the two ends were just nothing, just the centerpiece. But
I think it's right here.
Yeah.
See, you can see
how
that kind of goes in there a little ways.
I mean, it's going to affect your yield a little bit, but it's still going to be 8 to 10 carat. I can't imagine it being less than that. With great color, so it's...
And if it doesn't sell, we cut it, which is nice.
You're talking about cutting. I don't know if Steve, you wanted to jump in, and the cutting machine you recommend for any of the new cutters out there?
Yeah, which you could facet this, and I use the Ultratech V5, which is my choice. I just ordered another one. I have 3 machines here. They're the best because they're one of the few companies that's been in business for 55 years and probably will be in another 55 years, because most of the companies that make faceting machines only make faceting machines, and there's a limited market for faceting machines. How many are going to sell? And all those companies, every one of the previous machines I've owned have gone out of business. So you're stuck with a machine that you have no parts for, and whereas the Ultratech, they've been at it for 55 years. Faceting machines is a side business for them. That's the V5 back here. And because of that, they are into scientific equipment, and they can afford to build this equipment and not be the primary part of their business. So they'll be there when you need repairs, replacement parts, which is very key to this business. Unless you're a machinist and a part goes wrong, you're not going to be able to replace it. So I've got a few machines in the basement that have those issues that, there's just no parts available for them. So what are you going to do with them? Nothing. You're going to buy another machine, and this is for sure the machine that I would recommend. It's not inexpensive. This machine now is about $5,500. Thereabouts. They have one that's $1,000 less, few less. Well, it's still a quality machine. And where was I going with that?
It's a quality machine. They're built to last, and I don't know.
Yeah,
You've said it all.
I probably cut 500 stones on this machine. And it's still a high quality machine and still doing a great job. And, I just sent it in for tweaking and adjusting, and they sent it back and did a great job with it. And so that's what you need, and I was going to say, as far as, the investment, what business can you get in for $5,000? By the time you buy everything you need, maybe it'll be $7,000. But you're into it with the highest quality piece of equipment available in a trade that you can make money with your cutting, So it's just a good trade that's relatively inexpensive to get into. You don't have to go to college for it. You don't have to spend money for education. You can watch our videos, which we show you how to use the machine, and you can be in business in months,
Someone mentioned your name. You still send them rough?
Oh, yeah. And if you do have an interest in buying a machine, I do rep the company. They give me a commission. But what I give you, the price is the same no matter who you buy it from. But I'll send you a nice piece of rough to get you started on something that'll cut something of real value. So just let them know that I sent you, and once I get the commission, I send you out a nice piece of rough. Currently, we're doing Amethyst, We may get into some garnets. Amethyst, a little tougher to polish, but I give you the tools you need to polish it when I send you the rough. And, it's a good experience because amethyst is a good money maker. You can cut a big piece of amethyst, get $50 a carat, and got a 10 carat, you got $500, and maybe you spend 3 or 4 hours cutting it. It's a good profit margin, and it's a good business and pleasurable thing to do. You finish a gem and time to go on.
All right.
Before I ramble on too long.
Yeah. Okay. So
cutting.
one last, I wanted to get to Ethan's question from before. He's just dealing with cutting, then we can move on to the next stone. So Ethan, he has a large 8mm Alexandrite-like Montana sapphire that the pavilion and the girdle facets are not polished well. Do you think it would hurt the color changing of the stone by polishing them?
No. Yeah, no, it shouldn't. Yeah, polish should have no effect on the color, just make the stone look better. As long as you don't change the angles too much or, which you shouldn't by polishing it. Yeah, I can see it having no effect on it. Up next is just a beautiful sapphire. I mean, it's not the most intense, it's not the finest color on the planet, but man, you look at it, it's just a pleasing stone. No matter what light you're in, it's going to be bright and cheery. You get a lot of sapphires. People used to think that the dark ones were the best. Overly dark is never good. And this stone, no matter what light you're in, it'll never be overly dark. Just a really well-cut stone, a pleasing shape. Again, a very clean stone. We've just had a lot of luck with sapphires lately, getting remarkably clean gems. Just look at the brilliance. This is a color, I'll show you a sapphire later that I consider to be really the finest color that's available. But this is just a pleasant stone. You look at it, you just look at it and go, oh, that's pretty. Just bright stone, really well cut. Again, from Madagascar, heated gem, price $84.40. Our online price of $52.75.
Yeah, the cut on this is really cool.
So $44.80 is the price on the stone. Weighs 2.11 carat. And over 2 carat in sapphire is kind of the magic number, just because that's what investors look at. They want a gem that's over 2 carat, and this one meets all the criteria. Clean, well cut, and over 2 carat. Comes out to about $2,100 a carat.
So you think this is like not quite an opposed bar? Well, I guess there's nothing opposing about it, is there?
Probably not.
It's got that rolling flash look.
It's again that smaller table.
Yeah.
Gives you those facets that come further up in the stone. Gives you that look. Like the pixel cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the opposed bar.
Yeah, yes.
Cool stone.
Yeah, I think you love that one.
What's that?
That color on
this one? Yeah. No, it's I don't know. It's just a striking blue.
And big face. Sapphires are often cut a little bit on the deep side because, again, you cut the material that's available, and they're often more ball shape, and so you can get a extra depth in the pavilion commonly, which affects the overall apparent size of it.
Matches my shirt.
Great ringstone again, of course, because of the hardness. Up next, we already did that one. I think that one was out of order. All right, here's a Cambodian blue zircon. Oh, we have a sale.
I'm just going to cut in here because I know we got a lot of stones. But Paul ducked in early and picked this one up.
Nice.
So.
Okay.
It's a good stone, Paul.
Yeah, it's a cool shape.
Yeah.
You know,
this
it's a shape we don't normally see from the Asian cutters. You know, even they're starting to get into realizing that the straight ovals or, you know, you need to do something a little different in cutting. You know, this one's a little deeper, but for a Cambodian stone, it's
not that
quite
deep. Yeah,
yes, it's shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this would be easy to set.
Yep.
So no problem making a mounting for this ring or pendant.
And the brilliance.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
That's what's great about zircons.
Can you give me
know,
that bigger screen, Jeffrey? So you can see how just full of brilliance that this is, and the depth. Yeah, it's not overly deep.
And the depth of color in person is
Yeah, it's-
significantly greater than this.
Right. This
Yeah.
looks light in comparison. Hit a light.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to do it.
They're just hard to photograph. It's hard to get the blend of that green and blue that you get in blue zircon. They don't photograph easily. We get close, but you'll find that in person they're much more pleasant.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for the sale.
Thank you.
Someone was asking earlier. I hear the oven going off, but they were wondering: is that stone going to be done by the end of the show, or is that
No, it'll be done tomorrow afternoon. I put it on extra slow because it's a 40 karat stone and I don't want anything to happen to it.
Yeah.
It does have one needle in it, which I'm fairly confident won't be an issue, but you know, you never know with anything in it. You know, there's a needle right at the surface on the pavilion of the stone that I had to cut a lot of needles out of it and just left a little remnant of one of the needles. But you'll not see it. But anything that's in them puts them a little at risk. So I'm going extra slow, almost 19 hours, heating it up to 1,050. So hopefully it does the trick, and I'm a happy camper tomorrow.
What do you think? Cornflower or pastel blue on that sapphire?
This is what I would call cornflower. Yeah, cornflower blue would be the best description of this gem. Although that's a term that's been abused and misused. And, you know, it originally started when they started heating Gyuda, which back in the early 80s, the Sri Lankans were wondering why the Thais were buying all this gray sapphire. You know, it was gray included material, and they were buying it for next to nothing, taking it back to Thailand, heating it and producing these fine blue sapphires. So that started to appear in the early 80s. They probably started in the late 70s, but, you know, that's pretty much when I just started in the business, and it was new at that time. I don't know if I finished that story where I started with that. But. Up next is the only pair of stones that we have in the show. We bought lots of pairs. Blue zircons, you need blue zircon pairs. We have every shape and size available. So we bought a lot of blue zircons and several pairs of Peridot.
There's some sapphire pairs that we bought, Montana sapphire
Yeah.
pairs. And in the show, not that we're not going to talk about it tonight on the show, but there is a pair of tanzanites as well.
And this color will be totally inaccurate.
Yeah, this is
There's
too yellow.
no yellow. Yeah. I won't say there's no yellow, but they really weren't yellow.
No.
Yeah. The
Yeah, this is
accuracy
wrong.
of the pictures online is much more accurate than this, but you know, it's one of the downfalls of working one setting on a camera and expecting it to produce all colors. But these are a great pair of stones. They weigh 704. Very good cutting on them. VS2 clarity, which in Peridot is typically as good as you get. Just nice cutting. Praise price $2,800. Our online price of $1,120, and with the 15% off with the coupon code LOVE, get the becomes $954. Which comes out about $136 a carat. But just very, very brilliant stones. You know, just the cutting, just excellent on them.
So it'd be a fairly large set of earrings.
Yeah, they measure almost 10 millimeter.
Maybe for a drop or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, pendant and ring.
Pendant ring. That would work.
Big earring.
That looks so good.
That's good, Mike. Let's see that up there.
Yeah.
How about a nose ring?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, he's wearing every other piece of jewelry. Why not some earrings?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I get that.
What do you think, Carrie? You think Mike would look good in a pair of earrings?
Yeah.
Good size pair of
uncommon.
earrings, though. Yeah, that would look really good.
Yeah, it looks good. I need something. I got big enough lobes.
Yeah, we
I
could
could
hook you
have
up.
a
Yeah, forget the ring.
Yeah, there we go.
Man.
And we probably should do more single earrings because it's not unusual for men to wear a single earring.
I think we've had quite a few for tanzanite, haven't we? People wanting single
Yeah,
tanzanite
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, which we don't have enough of that online. Really, we need to work on that. So, all right, next stone is a mint green peridot. This is a
one's
big stone and
sweet.
just spectacular.
Yeah. The color on this it's not going to do well in this camera when I show it, but on the video now is what you're seeing.
It looks like Marilani mint garnet.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't understand sometimes why the price isn't greater. You know, again, this camera produces more yellow in it than it is. You know, the picture online is accurate.
Yeah, you want a nice peridot, and this is it.
And that would be a top quality Marilani mint garnet, and it would be $50,000 for something that big.
Yeah, peridot is one of my favorite gems. I really like the color green, and this, I don't know, there's just something about this green that just it's for me, you know. A lot of people don't like it, but I don't think they've seen this type of color.
And when you get this kind of size, the depth of color gets greater, and you know it just becomes a beautiful mint colored stone. This should be, what could we call this? Just mint peridot.
Yeah,
it must be a better name. Anybody
How
got
about
a name for mint colored peridot? Because it's like a different gem.
Yeah.
You know, this is olivine, but it should be some other name for it because it's totally different than all other peridots anywhere in the world. This is the only country that produces this color, 11,000 feet up in the Himalayas. And, you know, there's nobody else that has this mint color, you know. And with the popularity of Marilani mint garnet,
this
this should be the valued color of peridot. Yeah.
Man.
Anybody that said they don't like their birthstone because it's peridot, this would change their mind. So
anybody, that's just a gem that even if you don't like green, you'd say, wow. Like there was one lighting that we saw it in. I think we were looking at it in
the
hotel.
Yeah.
And, I mean, certain lights just make these gems just like you just look at them again and it looks like a totally different gem, but it was spectacular because it was kind of muted.
Low lighting.
Yeah.
That's where this stone will shine, is in low lighting, which lighter colored gems, that typically is their best lighting. And that's the lighting you're in quite often. You know, if you go out at night, this is the kind of color that'll show, you know, whereas a much deeper color of any stone is just not going to show as well.
I heard it called somebody called it the evening emerald once. So I don't know where that came from.
Well, you know, the Peridot from Egypt, was, I believe, known as emerald for a long time. I don't know the exact story there, but it was compared to emerald, or it was called emerald. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows the whole story to the Peridot that originally came from Pakistan or from Egypt. Yeah,
The Pharaoh Peridot.
Pharaoh's emerald. But this does deserve a new name. So anybody out there wants to give their shot at a new name for this material,
Leave it in the chat.
yeah, and we'll see if we can make it happen, because it's so different.
Yeah,
It's
it
as
is.
different as Marilani mint garnet from Tsavorite.
Yeah.
And to me, this is the prettier color of all peridots. It's unfortunate that there's not a lot more of it, but it's not that it's extremely rare. But
It's difficult to get to. It's found high in the Himalaya mountains. It's not the easiest place to access. And I think
there's a bit of snow up there most of the year.
Yeah.
11,000 feet up. So tough mining. I couldn't imagine having to work a mine at that height.
Right.
Some tough people. And the other thing about this stone is just very, very clean. Not flawless, but man, if you look at it, it's hard to find anything in it.
And this color typically has those Ludwigite needles in it.
Yeah.
But this one, there may be some in there, but not easy
I was
to
thinking
see.
there was one, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at, but really clean stone. Really a great gem. Did we go over the price on this?
No.
So with coupon code LOVE, it's $36.63. So it comes out right around $300 a carat. All right, up next. Well, one other thing to mention, Peridot's never treated. It's always natural color as you see it. Okay, now you can go next. All right, this is our next hidden gem.
The final hidden gem.
It's the final. And this is just intense color. The picture you see in doesn't show the secondary green as well as it, but it's about as dark of blue zircon as exists.
Oh, yeah.
But not too dark that it doesn't show bright, again, in any light. No. Oh, is that working?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it would have to. Should.
Well, anyway, this one weighs 8.19 carats, comes from Cambodia, appraised price of $5,075, and our sale price $2,130. Seems I already did this.
You really don't have
so
to.
$1,810.
So we've got a sale.
Paul picked up the stone right away.
Man, that was quick, Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right in there.
Yeah, it's a special
yeah,
stone.
it is.
Yeah.
Totally full of brilliance and.
Wait till you see it in person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this color, you just can't photograph it. If there's any photographers out there, there are quite a few colors that are really difficult, and this is one of them. When you try and photograph it, sometimes it splits the blue and green. It's hard to get the blue and green mixed as it is in person. And this is a color I've always had difficulty with. Apatites come similar color. That blue and green mix is a real difficult thing. I don't know if there's a filter I can use on the camera or what I can do to alter some of these colors. But, it's a special stone that it just never photographs quite right.
Cool.
And it's almost always better than what I can photograph. I can get the depth of color right. I just can't get the mix of that blue and green correct. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Another cool stone. This is the other gem we
Yes.
had sitting next to that orange one.
This is the one that I couldn't live without. I couldn't go home without. I like to me this one. I don't know, just the color
was
of
the
this.
special one.
Yeah.
And to me, the other one was the special one. They both were great.
This is a little bit orange.
It's yellower. Yeah. Yeah. So this is showing a little bit orangey, but it's really yellow. Yeah, yellow is.
But man,
what
look
it
how
is.
just, I don't know, something about it. Could be the cut that does it for me and the color mix. But
Well, again, another near flawless stone. And,
right.
You know, and just cut right and remarkable brilliance. And a round, you
Yeah.
know. Again, a big round like this, 4.5 carat. You know, the sapphires from Montana cut rounds often, but material that comes from Madagascar, typically flattened crystals. You don't get the depth to work with that this stone has. Better, a little greeny, but yeah.
That setting.
So, but just know that it's yellow is its color. No real golden to it. And so, but it weighs 4.52 carat, appraised value of $11,480. Online price $89.90. So $76.41.
That's closer.
So it comes out to $16.90 a carat. There you go. What setting is that on?
This is the P setting.
The P setting.
That's more like it.
Yeah.
If you want to go to that, Jeffrey. A little closer.
Just pretty remarkable for a sapphire.
Great size, too.
Great ring. Again, durability of sapphire in a ring is great.
Be cool men's ring. I'd wear this stone for sure. Yeah, wow.
You're not getting it.
Dang it.
So again, VS1 clarity, just a special gem. Likely heated, you know, as again, most sapphires are heated, whether it be blue or fancy colors. And just incredible brilliance. All right, up next, Jeff.
I just want to cut in again. Thanks for everybody that's been watching so far. I know it's a long show. We got some amazing stones from the Tucson Gemshow. Again, if you're joining us, you can use coupon code LOVE if you go to MoreGems.com and find that stone that you love that you've seen on the show tonight. We accept PayPal, we accept credit card, and financing through Bread and Affirm. If you're liking the show so far, please give it that thumbs up. Just click that little button below. And just let you know there is a live chat going on.
I guess I have two of those.
So, yeah, live chat going on as well. So sometimes you have to log into YouTube or your Gmail account to be there. But if you got any questions about any of the stones tonight or anything in general, you can post them there and we'll give them to Steve and Michael to answer. Thank you.
And tomorrow, for what's left, we also do layaway. We do up to 6 months layaway. We ask 20% down and, you know, just try and make regular payments over the 6 months. And we're good with that too. All right. This next stone is what I consider the ultimate color in sapphire. You know, when I bought it, I feared it was going to be a little too dark when I got home, but it wasn't. It just shows life in really any light. So it is a special sapphire. It's just got that color that I don't know what it is. It's just
it's so pure and like, I don't know how.
I don't know what the description for that color is. It's just what I think sapphire color is meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, and
when it hits your
was
eye.
thrilled when I got home because you never know when you're buying in different lights just what it's going to look like, and buying a sapphire that's too dark is like death. You know, it's again we said that, you know, it used to be dark sapphires were the best. No, dark sapphire like this that shows bright in every light is the best. This is what you want in a sapphire. Just under 2 carat, and it did affect the price. Even the owner of it said, "Oh, if we'd hit 2 carat, it'd have been a lot more." But I don't care. It's a carat 96. I'm thrilled that it's cheaper because of that. Because this is the top of the material, basically a 2 carat stone. Again, very clean VS2, not flawless, but very clean gem. Well cut. Everything about it is great. But the color is mostly what's great. It's got a little schmutz on the table there, but you need a cloth.
Yeah.
So this appraised price of $99.70, our sale price $49.90, and with 15% off, it's $42.41. Which comes out to about $2,100 a carat. Good size stone. Again, sapphire is pretty dense, so it affects its apparent size. But this one is 8.3 by 6.5 millimeter. But the color is what's special. The pictured color is what you're going to get. That soft. I know there's probably a name for it, but it's again the ultimate color for a sapphire.
Yeah, it's like when you look at it, it's like nothing else.
Yeah, just that soft. I don't know. It's not like cashmere. Cashmere is a little more violet. This is more like what I expect from Burmese sapphires. We also have a round that's very similar to this color. I don't know how big that one was. Carat, a quarter or something. I'm
that
not
we
sure.
just bought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the
recall.
rest of the stones. Yeah. So we have a round that's similar. That's over a carat. I don't know, it was a carat and a half.
And if anybody hasn't taken a look at our website, these aren't the only stones that are on and available for 15% off. I think there was over 50 total. So just hop on. If you go to MoreGems.com, there should be a green banner at the top of the page. If you click that, you'll see every single stone on there. They're all 15% off with coupon code LOVE. There's some really great ones on there.
Yeah, and if you see in the live chat, I did pin a link to the top of the chat, so you can just click there, and that'll take you right to all the Gemshow stones and more.
Then we'll try and get a lot more of what we bought because we bought a lot. I said I got 1,000 carats of opals and probably 200 carats of blue zircons and other peridots in this mint green color and some match pairs in the standard colors and
Sphenes will be coming.
Sphenes, yeah. And
I think the best way they can probably do it from here is to make sure to subscribe to the channel, because you show all the videos of the new stones.
Yeah. So YouTube is where you're going to see the new stuff first. Well, of course, on the shows, the live shows, that's where you'll definitely see them first. But then the next day, they all go live on our YouTube channel. So it's the best place to see the newest things.
Yeah, if you see something you like, don't be too hesitant because we have 96,000 followers, so
yeah,
they'll all start seeing them.
So the stuff that's either extraordinarily, special, that usually goes first, or if it's just a great stone, those are the things that typically go fairly quickly.
All right, and up next,
This is cool.
another Amalite. Such a cool pattern in this.
Yeah, this is not a typical. This is one of those stones that's one of those atypical stones that you don't see a whole lot of when we go and we're looking through these Amalites. This is one that is unlike the others. So just the everything about it.
Yeah, especially the pattern that's in it, and so much of that blue and purple and indigo, and and so much red. Red's a little tougher to get in these amylites,
Well, also with that, that violet.
and it's all the colors. Yeah.
It's like almost like a part of a globe. You got
Yeah,
the
it
water
does.
and the
Yeah,
green and the
like a topology map or
yeah.
What was the Africa stone that they had?
that was what was that? I don't remember. It was from Zimbabwe though.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
They had a gem that was shaped like Africa,
Yeah,
or was a crystal
right.
specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. Then we saw another picture of an African
Pyrite or something.
Yeah, but this Amalite, really a special stone. $640 is our price online, and so $544 is the price. Again, the really clean surface. This is the top collection quality, and such a cool pattern. If you look at the Amalites we have online, there's nothing like this. It's the reason that I said no and then said yes. There was just a few stones that were just extra special, and this is hard to pass up on. We have plenty of Amalite, more than I need, but when you see things that are like this, so unique, it's hard to say no, and I never do.
And if you maybe it's not something that you want to wear, but you think it's really pretty, I also have a lot of, they call them palm specimens. They're fragments of the fossil itself that are full of color, just like this, just not quite the gem quality. Now, some of them actually are. What's that?
Yeah, you got some great ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you're interested in that, those are on MoreGems.com. And I'll have more as well.
All right, next gem. Another sapphire and another. It's amazing how clean these stones are. Another VS1 clarity and just a really pretty color. It's, again, a color that I can't say I've ever owned. Weighs 211. Again, from Madagascar. No appraised price, because how do you price a color you've never seen before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a silvery blue.
Yeah, what is that color? Yeah. Unique gem, anyway. As we've had many tonight. This one, the price online is $15.90. And with the 15 off, it's 73,000. Oh. It is $1,350, which makes it pretty cheap. $675 a carat for a 2-carat sapphire. That's hard to beat.
And Dana, if I'm assuming you're asking how to buy the Amalite, if you go to MoreGems.com. And then click the green banner. It should be in the list of stones there. Add it to your cart. And when you're going through checkout, use the coupon code LOVE, and that'll give you 15% off the price.
There's not sure if it's sold or not. I'm looking. I don't see anybody bought it, but
Maybe it's not listed on there.
maybe not.
Well, Jeffrey he's going to figure that out, and it'll go live, and then
don't sell it twice.
I know.
Occasionally have that issue of selling a stone twice.
I just don't see it in here. Okay. Dana, I'm going to put it back live. I don't think anybody's purchased it. It may have just, we may not put it at a stock level. So I'm going to put it live right now. Hopefully no one bought it because I don't see the order in here.
Anybody claiming that stone currently?
Yeah, I don't see it sold. Okay. Committed.
Phil Kaiser says I bought it.
Oh, really?
So maybe it's in his order.
Let's see. Oh.
So Jeffrey's figuring that out. Jeff, give me a different camera view. I'll show some crystals.
Yes. Sorry, Phil. You did buy it. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Phil. Sorry,
Night
Dana.
is sold.
That was weird. Okay.
Give me a different camera view there, Jeffrey. Oh, it froze. I have a battery.
Running late tonight.
Well, Michael's working on that. Here, I did manage to buy a couple pieces of Mexican fire opal, which I haven't cut in many, many years. But these were such an intense orange, matter of fact, goes with my shirt, that I couldn't pass them up. And this is kind of a cool piece because we did debate whether just to set it as it is, just because it's such a striking color. Oh, it'll show up in there. Pretty good. Yeah, it's intense orange. That's pretty accurate, actually.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Little highlight highlight for maybe another opal or I should cut it. Yeah. But it's fairly thin is the only issue that what can I get out of it? But the color is dramatic. You know, I think I bought 2 pieces of that material.
So here's nice topaz crystals. Got a few of these.
Nice clean tip.
Yeah. So these are from Zambia.
I've heated a few of these, and they do turn pink, but pretty light pink.
Just go through a couple other of the special pieces. So somebody was asking about
Alexandrite.
Alexandrite. Yeah. And this is a pretty cool Alexandrite crystal. So it does have a color change. I don't know whether we'll be able to see it here. But
yeah, you're going to have a hard time overpowering those lights. Are they all off?
yeah, it'll be tough. If we can. Flashlight's too big. Yeah, too tough to see.
Yeah.
But the color changes there, and my flashlight won't quite cut it.
It's a pretty unique shape Alexandrite crystal. But if you put an intense enough light on it, it'll go green to red.
Which is cool.
And these are from Zimbabwe?
Yes. So I picked up a few of those with some with that are on the matrix as well. But this one had a great crystal shape. Nice tanzanite crystals, of course. Got some really beautiful pieces.
Oh, it's not on. Yeah, it is.
But nice tanzanite crystals. Deep color. There we go.
It's like some cutting material on the tip of that. Maybe.
What else do I got? Another unique big tanzanite crystal. Yeah, this one needs some light too. This one's cool. These little shimmers of light off the inclusions in there. That was a beauty. And one other one that I was going to show. I was kind of showing it a little earlier. Which is this big aquamarine crystal.
Oh, yeah.
Which this thing is pretty clean. Cool. Crystal structure.
Where's that from?
This one, we're thinking Pakistan, but we don't know for sure. And the other thing is I don't know whether it's been irradiated or not. But it is a nice crystal, and it does kind of look like the, material out of Pakistan. It's got this mica down here, the muscovite that you kind of typically see with that source. But a cool crystal. Super clean. Then I got a ton of other cabinet-sized mineral specimen, a lot from China. That'll be listed on MoreGems.com in the near future. So stay tuned for that if you're into collecting mineral specimens or you want just kind of a special piece to complement your gem and jewelry collection.
Do we have the other stones on the collection with us?
Yes.
Still want to know if you can see that semi-black Opal 22 carats.
Is it the rough or cut?
22 or 23? 23?
It's a slight pear shape.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. Too dark.
Yeah, another impressive gem.
Why is it considered semi-black?
Well, because it's not white.
Okay.
If it's darker than white, the semi-black is, if you look at blacks, they're just a dark black color. Semi-black is anything that is gray and beyond, just has a darker body color. And if you look at this on the white, directly on the white, I mean, you can see it's just a darker color. This would be crystal black, or crystal semi-black. Again, in Australia, crystalline and black is a kind of a magic name, but yeah, it's just darker body color. And this stuff just really started coming out last year is the first time we saw it. So it's a new part of the mining. And I bought several. This was the new shipment that our supplier got in, and as I told him I was interested in blacks, and he called to say, I just got some in. And, of course, we were immediately on it. And
yeah, I think you were going to
spend
see
another $7 or $8 grand.
Steve ran over to go see the Opals, and I was over at the Peridot, and we were just kind of split it up.
Yeah, it's a pretty stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. It really has all the colors, but mostly green. And
those red spots are really cool. Those flashes of red.
Again, I haven't had much chance to look at these stones and just see what their character is. Just got so many of them. Pretty nice rock.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to see? We do have all the stones here, but
Yes. Yeah. So, so everybody, I just linked to that page on our website. If you want to quickly, there's a lot more on there. We couldn't get to them all tonight. I did want to call out a sale. We didn't get to the stone, but Joseph picked up another crazy color. Is that emerald cut bicolor sapphire, 0.93 carats. That's like blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow. Okay, yeah.
That was a crazy mix right there too. That's
a Michigan stone.
Yeah.
Maize and blue.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
The friend of mine I used to travel with, it would have gone no further than his hands because he went to Michigan and he was pretty heavy into it. So,
yeah, but you can go there. There's a real cool, fancy violet pink tanzanite. We got a yellow tanzanite there.
Yeah, it was tough to figure out which stones to put on the show.
Green sapphire. That's really cool. Michael's got like a city of amethyst and smoky quartz.
Oh yeah, that one. That is pretty cool. I like that one.
Yeah, that's like a mystic city there. Show them that one. That one's cool.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know if we do a close up.
See if I can get any
Looks,
light.
yeah, it looks cooler, like mid range between the two shots. Yeah.
So that's smoky quartz and amethyst there. But a cool piece.
Double terminations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where's that one from?
This one's Brazil.
Amazing what nature produces.
That's bright.
Yeah.
All right, but besides that, like Steve and Michael said, they bought so much from Tucson, and if you want to be the first people to see it, just make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You got to do more than like. I think you have to hit the bell and everything, but then you'll get an email as soon as we start listing these videos and these products on YouTube. So make sure to do that. That'll get you first in on those stones. And also, if you didn't leave a thumbs up before, if you could leave us, get in there before you go to sleep tonight or wake up wherever you're watching from, that would be great. Always helps us out. And if you like any of the stones, again, just use coupon code LOVE on that collection. You'll get 15% off in your cart when you check out.
Whatever needs to be said.
And again, we have credit card, PayPal. You can do financing through Affirm or Bread. Or tomorrow, if the stone's still there that you like, we do layaway. So you can always lay away the stones and anything here, we can custom design it for you. Just give us a call. But what else am I missing? I think that's it.
I don't know. Great job, Jeff.
Yeah,
You've
nice
really
job.
stepped up and filled in.
Long show. I want to thank everybody for watching.
I know. Thanks for sticking
3.5
through our
hours. That's maybe a record
difficulties.
for us. Yeah.
Oh, it's 10:30.
And we were going to try and make it move quicker.
Yeah, your stories. Your stories.
Oh yeah, it was 5 minutes a stone, and which should take 2.5 hours. But
yeah. And we do these every month. So if this is your first time watching, again, if you subscribe, we will have another show next month as well. So
yeah, I think it's going to be the first Wednesday of the month. I'm not positive.
I'm going to be gone.
and we're going to try and do mostly stones we cut. I'm going to try and really put my nose to the grindstone,
and I'll try and get some cut too,
and get at least 20 stones cut for the next show, and we'll fill in with the plethora of stones we got from Tucson. So should be a good show. Yep. So we appreciate you all showing up and the business you've done, and hopefully you enjoyed really some unusual gems this show.
Yeah. We were happy to find what we were able to offer. So, all right, folks. Remember to shop online at MoreGems.com. We want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the bell, as Jeffrey was saying. Also, if you want to check out the links at the bottom of the stream, there's a lot of good information there. So that'll do it for us tonight. I'm Michael Moriarty, and this is Steve.
And keep on gemming.